understand that, but that has to change because we're not safe. I almost had to send my 75-pound dog out of my house today because I had a junkie who was trying to get on my porch right after he shot up diagonal from my house, and I had to watch that. Now, mind you, within 10 minutes, children will be getting off the bus at the end of our street off Riverside Drive to walk down to go to their houses while we got junkies jabbing themselves in the arm
Your time is
or
up.
squatting and shitting around our houses.
Change, we need change.
Next, Ron and Elsie Casados.
I listened to the mayor talk a little earlier about, the task forcing, and that was one of the things that we came in with the idea for, that, we all got to pull together, and even us as neighbors in our neighborhoods, got to keep an eye out and be able to tell who's supposed to be in our neighborhood and who's not. But the thing that strikes me the most, and you addressed this, Mayor, is that we got the people being arrested and letting them out the next day. That's not going to work. If that continues to be the issue, we'll always have the problem. And that, until we get that solved, then we're not going to solve anything. You can have a task force, you can have the neighbors, come together to try to get something done, but we're a dog chasing our tail. And so we ask you, as counselors, that's what we've got to do. We've got to make, our city attorneys and our legal people do their job a little bit better. These people have to be detained. There's got to be consequences. And if without consequences, we're going to have the same issues over and over again. And I think that's our main problem.
Like you had emphasized earlier that the law enforcement will join together. We were just asking, our neighbors, if you can, because within our vicinity, we try to text all of our neighbors, okay, a meeting is coming up, please join us. And then with the catalytic converter thefts that are occurring, is the recycling center part of having to pay for what is stolen? Because it has really cost, all the neighbors a lot of money because, first of all, your vehicle is no longer operating, so then you have to pay the extra costs. And then always, another idea was just like people are spending extra money on purchasing cameras, trying to sign up with Vivid so that you have a camera, right in your front yard. And then what happens when, what is our right as citizens if you see a person underneath your vehicle, what do? Do you do citizen arrest? And then also, if we would
Sir,
like
could
to,
you please not interject while other people are talking? Please. Thank you.
and if we would like to, do a neighborhood watch, what does it entail? So anyway, that's our input.
Thank you so much. I appreciate when people come and actually provide some forethought as to how what the problems are and what the solutions are, possible solutions. I feel like that's a reason and that's a way to improve our community, all of us working together. Next, Victoria, please.
Next is Carol Sharp.
Good evening, Ms. Sharp. Good evening, ma'am. Could you also mention what street you guys are from, please? Santa Clara.
I'm concerned about our neighborhood. I've lived in Espanola for 6 years now, and it's not getting better, and that's very sad. We have a good neighborhood, but we need to protect ourselves, and I think if we can get a group of people, including those that live in, is it Section 3?
Section 8.
By McCurdy School, if we could get everything together and become involved in neighborhood watch, that would be wonderful. And a sad thing in our country is everyone is so divided, and it's so sad that the politicians are becoming bullies. And what kind of example is that for our young people? I just hope that we can all work together, open up, and feel like we can be safe together and try to help one another.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Next is Laurie Marrer.
Hello. I also live on Santa Clara Drive. I moved here about 5 years ago, and everybody that I work with was telling me, don't go to Espanola. It's awful. It's terrible. It's the worst place you can get a house, you know. And I came down here to
Testing the audio, Victoria.
Doing it remotely. Hello? Go ahead, ma'am. I'm sorry.
That's okay. I came down here looking for a place to live, and I found a beautiful house in a beautiful neighborhood with wonderful neighbors. I have not had any problems yet. My neighbors have with the catalytic converters and different things. You know, I haven't had any neighbors or people in my backyard. I've had a couple come to my door asking about a trailer that lives next door if it was for sale. But otherwise, I love living here, and it really saddens me to see what's going on and you know what is going on and what's not happening. And I do understand the police force needs more people, and I understand that Los Alamos pays more, and I get that, and I know it's difficult for you all. But I do have a question, and please don't laugh. Can I, on my property, not a bear trap, but can I put a trap underneath my car so that if somebody crawls underneath it? I mean, I really don't know what to do anymore. And I only have one vehicle, and I need it for work. And I'm very concerned. That's it. Thank you.
Next is Dennis Sandy.
Good evening. Should I stand? I don't think. Thank you all council members for having us.
Sure.
Whatever you say.
Oh, I didn't hear you. I'm sorry.
Right, okay. And so this is all new to me, being I'm not a member of your council. It's just a safety meeting, and I was addressed from a friend of mine, Efrain, starting a nonprofit for the homeless. I know the homeless is a big issue here, homelessness and things like that. And I recently happened to be homeless, and a result of me being homeless recently was I got jumped at the store. What was it? At Lowe's a few weeks back by 30 plus young kids, young 20-year-old, for what, being homeless, for being judged by what? Because said I was a junkie. I was judged by my look, that I was gay. And I'm not none of these. I'm not really. I mean, I recently became homeless, but I've never really been homeless. I came to Espanola about 8 years ago. I went to Delancey Street for 5 years. Completed, graduated, and became a productive person of this society. I became and worked. I actually did the trash. I actually know how the trash is, how it is an issue, and how it is a problem, and wanted to help as much as I could, and I would stay as long as I could and help and do what I could. I've learned a lot from when I've been here, and probably more than when I've been anywhere in my life. But like I said, it's a safety meeting, and one of the things is just safety on anything. I mean, I know I might be on the other side of the coin, that I'm probably the homeless one, or I might be looked at or judged as probably the one committing the crimes, or they're not all the homeless, are these ones, if they commit the crime, or if they have, they want to change. And I just hope you guys notice and take voice to a lot of people here, because it's not just me. I mean, a lot of things can happen again. And I don't want to see the same thing happen to me, whether anything happens or not. Just so you guys notice and know that things do happen. Things changes people's lives. I don't want to hate to see something like that happen to anybody else here, or see anybody else here become homeless, because my biggest cause here now, being here today, is to help my friend Efrain start his nonprofit. Thank you.
Thank you, Dennis.
Next is Richard Reichenberg.
Hello, my name is Rich Rickenberg. I live off of Denton Street. There are several people here who also live off of Denton Street. I've been here about 28 years. My wife has been here for her whole life. I can appreciate the position you guys are in. I've been in this position before as a result of the work, where you've got a very significant problem with very limited resources. Here's the news. You will always have limited resources that are insufficient for the problem of this magnitude. Keep going after those resources. I encourage you to do that. I'm not telling you not to do that. Go out and get as many resources as you can. But the only way you're going to solve this problem is to use these resources. So if it means setting up a crime watch, I'm all for that. Neighborhood watch, I'm all for that. If it means advising these people as to the best way that they can help you solve this problem for our benefit, then I'm all for that. And I think that's the only way that you're going to be able to do that. There are a couple of comments that I need to make. One is that this week my wife called 911 for a problem, or 911, excuse me. There was a problem with a person wandering around the neighborhood. Everybody in the neighborhood watched this problem. We all said the police are going to show up. The police never showed up. Not only did they never show up, but they never came back and said, this is why we couldn't show up. If you're trying to get the community involved, that kind of thing is fatal to the community, right? At least come back and say, we weren't able to help you today because we were handling this kind of problem, but, keep calling us, keep giving us a forum. We all want to solve this problem, and we don't know how we can help you guys solve the problem. We need you to come out and say, this is what we can do, right? We all have videos that we sent to the police of people doing this kind of stuff. Is that helping? Is it not helping? We don't know the answer to that type of thing. The other thing that you said that was interesting was trespass. We have had people trespassing, and we call and we're told that we are not allowed, that the police can't get them off the property. They can warn them, but they can't do anything else. And so it's interesting that you're trying to get the businesses to do something about the fact that they're allowing people to trespass on their property. I think most of us had people trespassing on our property with the story is that we can't really do anything about it. So if that's not the case, where we can do something about it and we can make it easier for you guys to do something about it, let us know. Is it videos? Is it whatever it is, statements, videos, happy to help if we know what to do. And I encourage you to use that. Thank you very much for listening to me.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate your comments. Who's next, sir?
Next is Susan Baker Roybal.
Good evening. Thank you for holding this forum to hear our comments. I want to say thank you for more apparent police availability and presence, because it has been noted. I have noticed more state police, more sheriffs in the area. I think that is a deterrent. I'm from Camino Arboleda. We do have a very well-established neighborhood watch program. We are all in communication with each other. However, that doesn't stop the crimes from happening. It just means that we all know about it. I have had catalytic converters stolen. My backyard is completely fenced with a 6-foot fence that are locked all the time. And I have video. I did call it in and nobody came out. I was told to file a report. I cannot get the copy of that report after having filed it on the city website, because the person who has to clear those and give them back to us is not available and cannot be reached because their voicemail box is full. In the Neighborhood Watch, we had a gathering, and I commend our coordinators, the people who have put together the Neighborhood Watch, because in July we had a big neighborhood picnic, so to speak, and met each other so that we all know one another and can identify each other on the street. And the mayor and the police chief were there. I believe the fire chief was there as well. And thank you for attending. They came and spoke to us and made a pretty good show of looking like, they were interested in our Neighborhood Watch program. They were invited, the mayor and the police chief were invited to become part of our contact list, and to date have not responded because we are on a WhatsApp group, and they have not responded to hear our communication with each other. I am doubly concerned because I live right across the street from McCurdy School, so everything that's happening in our neighborhood is affecting and will affect families and children and people at school and kids who are practicing after school. So it's really become a very widespread problem, and we can combat this through Neighborhood Watch. We can watch out for each other, but we will need to become more engaged with the city as we do it.
Thank you, ma'am.
Max Maez.
Good evening, sir.
Thank you, councilors. My concern is basically threefold. Has to do with walkers, speedsters, and dogs running around McCurdy. I live on McCurdy Road proper, and we had a series of like 3 dogs that were running loose for the longest time. They've been running since about last year. More recently, we've got together with the police chief, and thus far, progress has been made in that respect, because the city has now hired a new dog catcher, and kudos to him, because in 2 weeks he took care of the problem. I was notified earlier that the problem was resolved. Okay, that being number one. Number two, we have a lot of people that are just kind of parading up and down all day long along McCurdy Road. And basically, in my opinion, all they're really doing is scoping homes out to see who's home, who's not home. We have security in our home, and we've seen on several occasions where people have actually, when we're not there, they've actually come into our yard. One time in particular, there was a person that, we were in Santa Fe, and all of a sudden our security went on, and we looked on our phone, and there was someone in our yard, and basically he was just kind of looking around, and he had a blower in his hand, only to know that people like 2-3 homes down the road, someone had actually stolen the blower. I don't know if this guy was stole the blower to kind of look for work, or basically just trying to scope things out on how things were. But anyway, nonetheless, I've had a lot of portable tools and stuff stolen from my home. Again, like I say, we have security, but these guys, they know the system, and they know it quite well, and they know it. They know who's home, who's not home. They in other words, with all due respect, I think they have the place is patterned out. Okay, so that's another issue. Okay, then my third issue is the rate of speed that people drive on McCurdy Road. 6 weeks ago, I was T-boned on the corner of McCurdy Road and Fairview Lane. Okay, drunk driver, going at a high rate of speed, T-boned me. I was injured somewhat. And about 2 or 3 weeks ago, my neighbor got into a head-on McCurdy Road at the corner of Tesuque and McCurdy. Okay, I guess the police were chasing someone, and the person didn't make the curve, and they landed up hurting her. She was going to come here tonight, but she's here. So that is really, the bulk of my concern. The police presence, on McCurdy Road is quite minimal. Every once in a while I see a city police. I don't see very much of, county or state. And I totally understand and respect that, you people are short-manned. But please, make an effort as you can, and more specifically, come like, 2 or 3 o'clock.
Your time is up, sir.
I'm sorry?
Your time is up.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
So anyways, those are my concerns.
Thank you.
Next is Mark Hudson.
Hello, my name is Mark Hudson, and thank you for this meeting, and thank you for everybody who's supporting it. We live in a neighborhood that's very close to McCurdy School, and we've been bothered with a great deal of transient and thefts, catalytic converter thefts, and people breaking into storage sheds and so forth. There is a house at the corner of La Jolla and McCurdy School that appears to be allowing people to live in a trailer. There's tarps that are being set up and lights, and transients have been seen going in and out of that area. And so I'd like to.
Address again, sir?
I'm sorry?
La Jolla and McCurdy?
Yes.
1312 La Jolla.
That's.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Attention
To be specific. We have a very strong neighborhood watch, and we do communicate often, daily, sometimes hourly through WhatsApp, and it's been very effective. We have people going through the neighborhood and taking photographs of people who do not seem to need to be in the neighborhood, and we'll share those photographs. I strongly encourage the mayor and the chief of police to join our WhatsApp so that they can see the amount of activity that's happening in this neighborhood. And one last thing is, I'd encourage everybody else in the city to develop a neighborhood watch and something like a WhatsApp so that they can work with one another. And I think, in fact, we spoke about a program, and I'd really like to see that happen where each neighborhood is able to send in a delegate to the mayor's office or the chief of police office to coordinate and discuss these things. Thank you.
Next is Deborah Beagle.
Okay, I live on Zuni Lane off McCurdy, and I was warned by kind Donald that people had been scoping out my house, and sure enough, catalytic converter got stolen from my truck a week ago. It's really expensive, you know, to have to replace that, and I think we really need a watch group in our area. I think we're in some deep trouble. I will say one thing this week. We had a big problem. A neighbor died, left, and a woman, his partner or whatever, left. And there were a mother dog and 8 puppies living under his porch. And there were 3 half-grown dogs, probably her puppies also. And I have to say the neighbors did a good job of at least keeping them all alive. And then finally the dog catcher came and got all of them. And one woman actually, he couldn't get the last 2 puppies, and she climbed under the porch way into the corner and got the last 2 puppies. So we're willing to work together, and we're here to help out and make it safer. Doesn't feel good.
Next, Frank and Alice.
Good evening, Mr. Savama. Good to see you, sir.
Thank you for the opportunity to speak with you folks. Much of what has been said already by the people, you know, I hate to repeat the same thing again, but I think I'd like to indicate that there are ways that some controls can happen. We happen to own one of the trailer courts here in town, and I ride that trailer park daily. I contact all the people that we have if they've had any problems. And yeah, we've had some catalytic converters taken. Mine was taken from my house. And we have lights and things, dogs, but they still got under there and they took my catalytic converter from my truck. It's amazing. But anyway, I don't want to repeat what all the other speakers have said already, only to say that, you know, I thank you folks for the opportunity to hear the situation, and maybe some solutions can come out of it. And I'd be glad to help coordinate if an organization can be set up to help coordinate, and maybe something can be done along that line. Thank you very much.
Next is Cheyenne Romero.
Hello, committee members and to the public. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak. My name is Cheyenne Romero, and I'm currently homeless. Less than a year ago, I was jumped by 4 girls I had never met before at Speedway. Police were called, and in the middle of me telling my story, the officer just turned around and walked away. Didn't let me finish my story. In the end, nothing was done for me, even though I was the victim. The reason why I personally think nothing was done was because of the fact that I'm homeless, and all homeless people are being put under the same category. So as a resident of Espanola, New Mexico, I hope things will change for the better so everyone can feel safe in our community. And thank you.
Thank you, Shirley.
Next is Michael Sanchez.
Michael Sanchez, is he in here or outside? While we wait, you know, some of the comments that have been made have echoed each other, but I really feel like the information that the city is gathering is very important. Some of the things that have talked about is the catch and release, and I'll touch base on that a little bit. Recently, some of our governing body members attended a municipal league conference. The municipal league is an entity that covers all cities and all communities throughout the state, and they sort of represent us as a whole at the legislature. And the catch and release law is a law that was actually put in by the public, voted on by a public referendum, meaning that the public is the one that made the decision on this, and the decision was that if somebody could not afford bail, that they should be afforded an opportunity to be released. So the way the law is written is that these people are on a catch and release. The police department arrests them, and before the ink dries on the report, they're already re-offending and out again. So we're dealing constantly with the same 5 to 10% of the people that are recommitting petty crimes in this community. So the city of Espanola is committed to join forces with the municipal league and all the communities to address the New Mexico State Legislature on trying to get that law repealed. And we believe that it's the most important law going to the state legislature this session. And the reason is because we have people that are not being held accountable to their communities for the laws that they're breaking. When I first started on this council, the city of Espanola was spending $300,000 on prisoner care. Now we spend less than $30,000 on prisoner care. That shows you how they cannot keep them in jail. So we need that law to be repealed. It's very important. We don't believe that jailing people is the answer, but we believe that if you have them in jail, you have an opportunity to affect them with rehab and other choices that they can have during that time when they're in jail to make good, solid choices for their future. So we believe that we're missing out on that opportunity. Before, when Delancey Street first started, there was a waiting list of up to 1.5 years to get into that program from any jail in this area. They had over 100 clients in that rehab center. Now they only have 22 clients in that rehab center with no waiting list. That shows you that nobody is seeking help at this time because they are not forced to. They're got and released. So these are issues that we as a community are behind changing, and the mayor and this council altogether is definitely committed to getting behind the repealing of this law. So that's one of the things that I'll tell you. Did we find Mr. Michael? We didn't find him?
Someone went to go get him, I guess.
Go ahead and go to the next person.
Okay, next is Ephraim Hernandez.
Pastor, how are you? Welcome, sir.
Thank you. So greetings, honorable City of Espanola council members, clerks, law enforcement, and first responders, and members of the public. I'm Ephraim Hernandez. I'm the Executive Director of Toro Works Ministries. I've come before you today as an advocate for our area's homeless population. Today, rather than speak for them, I have brought a few of them to speak for themselves. So a couple of them already spoke, as you heard. Dennis and Cheyenne. I have two more, I'm hoping come back in. Last night, my wife, Lisa, and I were working the streets, and we found Alicia and Matthew, a homeless mother with sons sitting on the cold concrete in front of Walgreens. We fed them and took them to Santa Clara Apartments, where she named someone who could possibly take them in. Upon arriving at the apartments, we found the parking lot empty of cars, and I asked, "Where is everybody?" Alicia. This was the second person to tell us this in 2 weeks. What we have on our hands, ladies and gentlemen, is a homeless crisis. And as some area residents have complained, is a safety issue. I would say not just for housed residents, but also for non-housed residents. According to the Farmer's Almanac, we live in the high plains. Winter will be colder than normal. Precipitation and snowfall will be above normal. This issue is more an issue of human dignity and than anything else. And I propose that it's time that we rally the community in a positive way and address this crisis with love, respect, and urgency. Most every human knows that we bring our own problems on ourselves. And that understanding is not lost on each and every homeless individual present here tonight. We cannot give up on each other any more than we can give up on ourselves. The golden rule must be applied to ourselves and each other. As many of you know, I am putting together a proposal for a tiny hut village. That tiny hut village encompasses a few different aspects, and I am grateful for Denise Benavides for hearing me out and hearing more about that, and I'm looking forward to talking to other city councilors about this and the mayor. I also appreciate Samantha, who is working hard at the Rio Grande Sun to bring attention to these kinds of matters. So, like I say, it's something that I want to address in a positive way. Nobody knows the heart of another individual, and we have to look at each other with humanity. Yes, some people are criminals. Yes, some people have addictions, but not everybody. Some people are just fell on hard times. I know that because my wife and I and our children became homeless at some point for a year and a half. So I'm speaking from experience. That's the reason I started this nonprofit in the first place. This is our home now, and I want to make it a happy place. Thank you.
Normally, we don't allow the council to interact with comments, but I'm going to allow Councilor Denise to have a few comments concerning that situation. Thank you, Councilor.
My daughter, my cousin, my niece find a home. It's very difficult now because they're far and few. But today I got a call from my city manager asking if I could help an individual that was recently hired to work for the city that turned out to be an excellent employee. And much to our surprise, she's a single mother living in her car. Solutions. Well, lo and behold, shortly thereafter, I got a call from a friend who works for the schools. They had a little boy that was having some issues and they didn't know what it was. They took him to the nurse's office. She noticed that his shoes were filthy and that there was something wrong. They went to take off his shoes and he cried and he screamed. But when they got his shoes off, they saw the fungus growing on his feet and the blisters because he had shoes that didn't fit him. It breaks my heart, but it infuriates me to no end. And I was given a phone number to this little boy's mother, and I contacted her to find out that there's 6 kids living in a van with their mother, of which one is a brand new baby, brand new newborn. She's running from a husband that was abusive and addicted, and she knows not what to do, and she can't find anybody to help her because in this community, we don't share those types of programs with each other. We don't partner with the programs that can assist these individuals. And I'm here to tell you that when individuals from my district reached out to myself and Councilor Manny Martinez, I made a commitment to them that I was going to do everything that I possibly could do to ensure that my district, and not just my district, our community is safe. But my number one concern is to my district. So next week, I'm going to set up a follow-up meeting with Sheriff Mendoza from Santa Fe County. He has committed to be at a meeting to work together with Chief Garcia. And so we're going to move forward with that to see if we can get some additional assistance while Sheriff Garcia hires additional police force and goes through what he's currently going through today for the next month and trying to assist in cleaning up the community. And talking and meeting with a friend for lunch yesterday, I asked him if he could bring some of the individuals here that are currently homeless but are not addicted, do not have mental type issues, but that could speak on their behalf and just to say, we just need help. We're individuals that, for whatever the reason, this happened to us. And they're scared as well as everyone else because they need help and they don't know where to turn.
And it's unfortunate, and it's heartbreaking, and it's sad to me that this community can't figure out a solution. And I think in partnering and working together with the proper individuals, it's time to stop talking. You know, I mentioned that along with Mr. Joe Salazar in a meeting we had today with Hector Valdez, our AG, and that, you know, you can have hundreds of people get together in forums, but if all you're gonna do is talk, we're not gonna get anywhere. We need solutions and we need them fast. The number one thing that I heard today during the lunch meeting was the issue of housing. And also the issue that there is no place and no programs in place to not just house these individuals, but to provide them the information, the skill sets, and the programs that they need, those who want them, to get clean, to assist them with mental issues. Well, much to my surprise today, I found out that there's an entity in our community called LifeLink. Well, I've worked with LifeLink for many years. And did I have any idea really that they were in this community? I did not. They do excellent work. However, the work that they provide is not the one they're providing currently today. So I reached out to a friend of mine that is higher up in that entity and found out that she's currently working in Espanola only 4 hours a week because she was hired by TRC Housing Authority, who runs and owns currently the entity of La Jolla, the public housing facility there. And she said, what can I do? What can I help? What programs can I bring? Those are some of the things that we need to discuss. We need to prioritize. And one of the reasons that I wanted this meeting today is so that we could hear all of the issues that are in our district along with Councilor May Martinez, so that we could see what's at the top of the list, so that we can work with our chief, so that we can see how can we assist him to assist you. There are many ways. Housing is one of them. We have a problem now because interest rates have gone up, but that doesn't mean we can't get it done. I do it every day of my life because it's currently what I do for Santa Fe County. There's many issues that need to be addressed. I think that the city, in a way, we have failed you because currently right now, Santa Fe Civic Housing owns 4 of the public housing facilities in our just in our community. I reached out to my good friend Ed Romero, who's the executive director of that entity, and I said, Ed, I've walked your facilities more than one time and I did it again this weekend. And do you have a manager? Do you do inspections? What's happening? Because your properties, frankly, they look like crap. And as long as we continue to let it happen and not hold them to the fire, we're not going to see change. So I'm tired of hearing people say Espanola's this and that and trashing this and that. We have to stop that if we can. We have to hold these people accountable. We currently don't have a lease with Santa Fe Civic Housing. It's one of the things that Mayor and City Manager I have put on the list and spoken to them about. Because if we can't dictate to them, we're never going to get where we need to be. And it's not just them. There's other areas. We've already addressed Santa Clara Apartments. Thereafter, we're going to address the one in El Llano.
La Vista del Rio.
Yeah, Vista del Rio, that is owned by the same individual. And this governing body is committed. And we're going to do everything that we possibly can do. But if we don't include our own community to assist us, we're never going to get there. So I have to thank my friend Donnie, who was on my case for what, Donnie, 2-3 weeks about the issue with the dogs.
And maybe over a year.
It was not months with me. But I was serious. Did I not say, Donnie, give me a week, give me another week? And did we fix your issue? We did.
And I want to commend you on the dog catcher did catch those dogs within a week. It took a year to get that job done.
I also
went through hell to get it
I
done.
also want to thank Debbie Martinez, who has been diligent in contacting me, and I so appreciate saying the trash didn't get picked up here, the trash didn't get picked up there. You know, just her going around and helping us, and me sitting there, you know, texting our pro temp, our city manager, and getting it done. You know, that helps us. Pat, I'm not sure if Pat's here. Pat, where you are? Hi, Pat. I mean, we've been talking, but we hadn't met, right? We're doing the same thing and talking on behalf of her neighbors and everybody that lives around her. If we continue to do that, we can solve those issues working together.
Okay, who's next, Victoria? Is Frank back?
Michael Sanchez.
Michael Sanchez. Hi, Michael.
I'm also, and thank you for having this meeting and having us here. also, I'm homeless myself, and I know like everybody has concerns of us people are all the same, whatever. But we're being at the same time. The cops are answering you guys' calls because they attack us and they have like they're rude to us and everything. Like because of everybody else's calls or like we're not all the same people. Like I try to look for work and everything else. I go into look for yard work and stuff, and I get judged and chased out and looked at like I'm a criminal and everything, and I'm really not. And I would like our friends, getting this place together, more help for us, like programs or work is the main thing. If we had work, we wouldn't be out there getting into crime or anything else like that. If there was something we could do, and I know there's a lot of people that are just criminals are criminals, but the ones that do want help, like we want help, I want help, and that's pretty much it. Thank you.
Thank you for your honesty.
Next is Amanda Herrera.
Thank you again for having us. I also too am homeless. I've been homeless on the streets here for 7 years. I moved to New Mexico when I was 4 years old. Sorry. Sorry, I just get emotional because, like he said, we're not all the same. We want help. There's those of us who do want help. Not all of us are criminals. I've been fighting addiction for 17 years. I have 2 kids that I don't see very much. If we could get this place together, it would help a lot because it's hard to think about recovery when we don't have somewhere to go. We don't have somewhere to live. We don't know when we're gonna eat next. We don't know if we're gonna have a place to stay. We get chased out of everywhere because it is a problem. And I know a lot of people are fed up, and I understand that. But like we said, not all of us are the same. Everything gets ruined because of 1 or 2 people. Don't want to clean up after themselves. They trash everywhere. But we're not all like that. I go around and I clean up things. I pick up needles and stuff that people leave behind. Because I wouldn't want my kids to pick that up. I wouldn't want my kids in danger. So just think about that. We still are people. I'm somebody's daughter, I'm somebody's sister, I'm somebody's mother. And I hate being treated like I'm nothing. I'm not a person anymore. I am. We all are. There's so many of us out there that want to change, that want to help. And there's nothing here for us. I was told by somebody in law enforcement, what are you doing here? And I said, well, I'm from here. And he said, well, how do you think it makes the city look with a bunch of homeless people walking up and down our streets, begging in our parking lots? I said, why don't you go more towards Santa Fe and Albuquerque where there's resources for you? Well, how come there's not resources here for us? We're still part of your community. Not all of us are destructive, and we want to help. Given the chance, a lot of us could be something more. But thank you for your time, and sorry.
Okay, thank you, Amanda.
Next is Cecilia Lujan.
Mayor Vigil, Madam Councilor Peggy Martinez, Councilors Martinez and Benavides, thank you so much for listening to our concerns. I live on Zuni Lane, which is the street that takes you to the, I still refer to it as Fairview Elementary School. I know it isn't. It's Tim Salazar Elementary School. And we have various residents from Zuni Lane, and not only Zuni Lane, but we're very close to people off of McCurdy Road, Tesuke Lane, and all other various streets.
Your
And I'm-
bosses are here.
Pardon me?
The bosses are here.
You got it,
And
Donald.
This body right here.
Anyway, I certainly don't want to repeat what others have said, but we are concerned about the theft, the catalytic converters, boxes that are constantly, packages that are constantly stolen. We are working as a neighborhood. Neighbors call me and ask, hey, are you home? Can you go get the packages from my yard? I do. I take them to the garage when they get home from work. I'm the UPS person. I take them back, give them to them. Anyway, also concern is, and actually before I even start with concerns, I want to thank the city. The street sweeper does come to our street and gives it a good sweep, of course, after I've cleaned it up a little bit. And also, I've been in your shoes. I served as a counselor many, many years ago. So I know what you're going through when you don't have resources. But I agree with the gentleman who spoke a while ago that you need to go out there and get resources. I know I did on a proposal, public safety grant that helped us get the speed sign there on 76. And that's one of our concerns, that the speed limit, as Max Maez said, the speed is outrageous on McCurdy. But if you think that's bad, come over to Zuni Lane. Our speed limit is 15 miles per hour. And you have buses, school buses, exceeding that speed limit. I even stood in the middle of the street to slow down one of the bus drivers. I've contacted the school. Madam Chair Peggy Martinez has been very helpful. And one of our concerns too is we need to get the school buses off of Zuni Lane. They need to find a different route to get the school kids to school. One of the things that I find when I do sweep the curb, and it's again by a school, I must pick up at least 4 needles a week off the curbing there on Zuni Lane. And then another person spoke about the mobile home parks. I'm not against mobile homes. We need every type of living for everyone. And the manager behind us, the Milagro Mobile Home Park, has been working very hard to keep that place safe for us. And I appreciate his help. But at the same time, we're also seeing on Zuni drug trafficking. And so that's another issue. And especially, I mean, it's bad. But I know what you're up against, and all we can do is work hard as a neighborhood to try to help you, the city. So, I guess my time is up. I can go on and on and on, but thank you.
Next is Pat Thomas and Pete Padilla.
Before they speak, I'm gonna go ahead and allow Deputy Chief John to talk about some resources that are available.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. So the fire department, working with HIDA, working with RackStop, there are a ton of resources out there. There's a ton of resources here in the valley, but we don't know about them. So working with HIDA, working with RackStop came together and they put all the programs that are here, housing, drug prevention, things for, it has all the resources you need. And we're putting them on these Narcans with a QR code. So you can scan it with your phone
and boom, it's right there on your phone, all the resources you need. And also there's a 988 phone number. That's a statewide phone number that you can call. Any phone number or any phone you can use, you call 988 and it'll take you to the statewide resource center and they'll get you any help that you need with housing, with drug addiction, going through a mental crisis, anything you need, you can call this number 988 and they'll get you the resources in the area that you're at. But this QR code will link you to the Rack Stop information, which is local information, and then also the statewide information. So we're handing these out on any drug overdose we go to. We're handing these out and giving these to the people that are there and making this known. We're supposed to have the cards also that we can start handing out as well. So just so you guys know. So if anybody wants to use this and scan this on their phone, it'll be over here. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, DC. Mr. Sanchez. I'm sorry, sir, could you repeat your name for
My name
me?
is Steve Padilla. We moved here 37 years ago to work for the city. I started working for the city in the wastewater department.
Thank you for your service.
We've lived on Ziegler Street. We've had 2 catalytic converters stolen, 3 bicycles, and they tried to break into the back. And those are some issues that are keeping my wife quite upset. I understand. We've been here 37 years, like I said. We've seen the cycles come and go. This is nothing new. We've seen crime come and go for 37 years. We've seen the heroin addiction. It's always there. And we never get to seem to get a handle on any of this.
Right.
And I think one thing the city should do is get money from the feds for programs, but then not have any money left over for maintenance or salaries, and all these programs just go down the tubes. And my other thing that they think they should do is if police officers cost $25 an hour, well, the city's just gonna have to bite the bullet and pay $25 an hour.
We agree.
It's just the reality of the situation. If that's what Los Alamos is paying, or Albuquerque, well, if we have to pay taxes anymore, so be it. If we wanna have a good police force, we gotta pay for it.
Thank you, sir.
Victoria, before you call up the next person, can you fix the audio? Because I don't think that's very polite to allow these individuals to come up here and speak and get that feedback and reverberation.
No. I thought maybe it was you.
Are you muted?
It's missing.
Yeah, I said it was on.
Okay. This one also, it was like, I stayed muted or muted. Thank you.
Who's next? It was Denise's. Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. Sorry.
Next is Jay Martinez.
Is your name Jay?
Jenny. My name is Jenny Martinez and I live on Ziegler Street. On October the 18th, my boyfriend went out to start the car. It's a remote start. Locked the door behind him, and 10 minutes later the car was gone from behind my locked gate. The following day I made a car payment on that. You know, not having the vehicle in my possession anymore. A week later, the police officers were able to find my car. It was located in what used to be Tent City. Trailer court kind of behind Walgreens, up in that area. There's some type of a field. It was completely gutted. Engine components, catalytic converter, manifold, tires, rims, radio, everything was taken from my vehicle. So a vehicle that I'm still paying for, no less. The reason I came here tonight is I have some thoughts and ideas that I wanted to share, and this doesn't necessarily require a comment, but it's just some things to take into consideration. Research indicates that New Mexico has the second highest rate of violent crime and third in property crime in the nation. We're about 10% above everybody else for property crime. What is the goal of the police department and the city of Espanola to combat the opioid and fentanyl issue within the community? Because we know that's what's causing it. Fentanyl is so cheap right now that people don't even do heroin anymore, which was the issue, of course, several years back. Have we considered partnering with the state emergency management officials because we're facing an epidemic in this valley. We can't leave our homes anymore without feeling unsafe. We can't go to the grocery store without feeling unsafe, not knowing if somebody's going to rob you, the minute you walk out of your car. Is it possible to consider focusing police resources on high-rate offenders, either to get them off of the street or reduce crime? We talked about catch and release already. I understand. Tell us who we need to talk to within the legislatures to make sure that those types of issues are addressed. We'd love to hear that, because we see the same people doing it over and over again, and they're out the following day. And also, has the police department considered hotspotting? And for those of you that don't know, hotspotting is a practice where the police department shows presence in a specific area or location that's kind of being hit hard. Because I was very fortunate that the officer who took the report of my complaint of my stolen vehicle, he followed up with me very quickly, and he continued to follow up. I had a very good experience with him, and I did email the chief of police mentioning that experience. So I was one of the fortunate ones that did have at least a good police presence. But, studies have shown that hotspotting does not just displace crime into other areas. Stop and frisk can also be highly effective. And those are, you've got 10 people on the street every other day, and my heart bleeds for you and those that shared your story regarding your homelessness, and you're not all the same, and we completely understand that. I understand that. But we know who those individuals are that have, our police officers know who needs that type of method taken. And can the possibility of curfews be entertained within the city? Because what's happening good after 11 o'clock at night, after 10 o'clock at night? If you're not coming home from work at that time, you're probably not up to a whole lot of good. And that includes our teenagers. And what can we do as citizens to protect our homes and belongings? Cameras, closed gates, locked doors, they're not working. A neighborhood watch is only as good as the people in it. We live in a very small neighborhood where, we have a circular drive and we're up towards the top off of McCurdy Road. We have cars that are there that have no business being there all hours of the day and night. My cameras are catching individuals coming 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. I have vehicles that are passing my house that have absolutely no business there. They're not a neighbor. They're not necessarily a friend of a neighbor, but potentially up to no good. So those were just some thoughts and comments that I have, and I thank you for your time. Thank you.
You want to touch base a little bit, Mayor, on, first of all, curfews have already been found to be
Constitutional.
unconstitutional by the federal government, so that's out of the question. But could you touch base a little bit on the catalytic converter situation, or should we go ahead and let Misael talk? Can you hear him?
He's hearing the meeting. He's heard everyone this evening. I've been.
Chief Garcia, would you like to address?
Sure. I hope you all don't mind. First of all, I want you to see me. I've been sick this whole week. You all know how much I value my communication with the community.
Can you guys hear him?
I didn't want to get into the.
Hold on, Misael.
Go ahead.
First of all, I want you all to know how much I value attending these meetings. As you all know, my number is out there. I meet with the community continuously. And I would have been there, it's just that I didn't want to expose any of you to any potential illness that I have now. I could probably talk to you all for about a half hour in reference. I've made notes on everything you all have said. Everything you say, I pay attention to because that's my job. But I think the biggest thing we need to realize in Espanola, and some of you have reiterated that, in that we need to work together. I think the gentleman that said that we're dealing with the most significant problems with insufficient resources. That's a fact that's going on nationwide, statewide. We are reaching out to other agencies for assistance, but everybody is having the same issue that we are. But I have ideas, and we've talked about those neighborhood associations. Tonight, a decision I've made And I know the mayor and the city manager, I've asked them repeatedly for additional administrative help. I reach out to some of you that you can volunteer and come help me in the office. Help me continue those contacts. Help me put together those numbers that I need, where our hotspots are in the city. I need help. I'm going to tell you, I just now, and I'll give you the good news, I've been able to hire 2 certified officers and 1 uncertified. Hopefully in the next week, I'm hiring 3 more certified and 2 uncertified. But that still isn't enough. I'm not going to tell you that's going to do it. I know there's a lot of information that we're not able to share. We talked about violent crime. Last week, we had 2 shootings in our city. One was a double shooting that resulted in a homicide. We identified that subject. We have a warrant for his arrest, and we potentially know where he is. The second subject, on Calle Borrego, we also identified him. And I'll give you some insight there. In his house, we found 9 catalytic converters. So what I'm saying is a lot of our crime is coordinated. So I want you all to know, and for the first person that spoke so eloquently, ma'am, I know that you care first. My job as chief is to care for everybody. I have to do it by priority in our city. I have a limited amount of resources, and I wish I had a cop on every corner in Espanola. But if you look around at the initiatives that I'm allowed to implement by our governing body, specifically the mayor and the city manager, I've been allowed to go above and beyond, right? What I think any other chief. I have friends in other cities. They're amazed at the leeway that I have in our city. But I've asked numerous times. While we were talking here, I signed up to a WhatsApp application with one of the neighborhoods, and I apologize that I had been sick for the last few days and I haven't been at work. But any of you is welcome in my office anytime, any day. Just please call me or my administrative assistant, set up a meeting. But I want you to know that, again, your issues are not falling on deaf ears. The executive staff, we meet weekly, man, and we discuss everything you're talking about. But I think the most important thing is that you realize is that, like you said, a good police force is we're going to have to pay for. And I think we maybe have ignored that. Our resources are limited in how much we can pay. And I think somebody asked, what can we do? Well, I think one of the biggest things, we talked about catch release, is think about the people that we're electing into all these positions. And I think that's where you can help us. I can't do anything other than arrest these people. If I arrest them every day for a week and they get out the next day, that's the extent of what I can do. The young lady who talked about maybe innovations, stop and frisk is unconstitutional. It would cost our city hundreds of thousands of dollars. And I've learned from other cities and what's going on. So what I have to do is I have to make sure that I don't cost our city lawsuits that are, $300,000, $400,000, $500,000. So my police force has to ensure that it does its job lawfully, morally, and legally. And we're doing our best. I can tell you the first day of our blitz, we had 26 arrests. And yes, they were for property crimes, for misdemeanors, but I think that made a difference. I can't tell you, even today, there's a few of you in the hall there that called me and gave me props on my officers saying that, hey, your officer did this, thank you. But I want you to know that because it is our city, and because my mom and dad lived there 60 years, I told you, I was born there. I know Espanola can be that shining light, and the rest of the state, I don't make excuses. We're not the only ones, but I don't care about what goes on in other parts of the state. But I challenge also, I need some of you to step up and say, Chief, I want to volunteer for you. I want to go in on my days off. I want to help you help our community. I will accept you. And the last thing I want to say, I know it came up about the money we received. I can tell you that that money, unfortunately, could not have been used for anything else but that building. If I could have used it for salaries, I would have, but I'm not very good at knowing how money's allotted by our legislature or by our governing bodies, but that is the only way I could have used that money, and that's why it was used for that building. And like I promised you all before, I was willing to move down there. As far as the neighborhood association, everyone I've seen here today, I wish amongst you, 5 or 6 would show up at my office maybe by Tuesday and meet with myself and my administrative lieutenant. Maybe we can make a citywide WhatsApp, because no one part of our community is more important than the other, but I do have to prioritize, right? I've said this, violent crimes are first. Other than violent crimes, people where they need, immediate assistance. We are making arrests when it comes to catalytic converters. We are doing our best, but we cannot find out who is buying them or where they're going. We are doing everything within our power, and you all know me, I don't run away. Many of you may have been in my office, and I open my office to anybody. Please show up. And if you want to talk to me, there was one gentleman there that I had met 3 times. And I thank you, sir, for saying that my new animal control officer is doing a good job. I appreciate you. But I want you all to know, you can come to me. It doesn't have to be the Public Safety Committee meeting. For those of you that don't have it, they can publish my number. It's 505-469-9125. I answer my phone 24/7, 7 days a week. But please, I want you to know that we're in it with you. I hear this. It pains me to hear what you all are going through, but we do need to work together. And that's the bottom line. I can address things as much as I can, right, priority-wise, but I need your help, and that's the bottom line. I've asked you. I am open. You can always come to me, and we can talk about what I can do for you, but I am also very honest. I have to prioritize our city. And no, Walmart is not, ma'am. I know you have said that. It is the place that I've been told that the most people feel scared of. You talked about, I want to feel safe. I have to prioritize at times, what happens. But I just want to tell you all that if you want to talk to me one-on-one, give me a call. If you have ideas for me, please provide them. But if you really want to help and you really want to be a part, please come into my office. I will make room for you. You will be a part of the solution. And I'm sorry I don't look so good. I've just been sick, but I have been listening. But if throughout my report, if there are any other questions the governing body wants me to answer, you can see how passionate I am about my job here at Espanola. I love my job. I love this community. I see the change in my department, and I want you all to see that. I mean, the changes that we have done. And as for complaints, if you can't come into my office and file a complaint, send me a text. And I will resolve that. I will give it to one of my lieutenants to follow up on. So in no way think that I'm hiding from anybody. Even now, like I said, I signed up on that WhatsApp. I've been pretty sick. That's why I hadn't done it yet. But I plan on being back at work on Monday. I'll be wearing a mask, of course, but please understand that the passion on our side, the passion on my side, the passion on my department is there to serve you all. And I hear from you. I've heard today from 3 of you. I have emails. I can provide them. But please understand that I love these meetings because I learn so much from you. And I want you to know that we're here to serve you. I'm here to serve you. I serve the community. And I'm never going to back away from that.
Chief? Chief, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay, thank you, Chief. With all due respect, Chief, I work for my constituents. That's why they're here tonight. They elect me, and they elect me to do a job and to ask the hard questions. So some of my constituents that reached out to me feel like you're catering to the businesses instead of to the community members. So that's one question that I want us to talk about here briefly tonight. I did attend your last business coalition meeting, as you know, and I think that we, the city, do have an obligation to some of these businesses, but some of these businesses are large corporations, and they have an obligation as well. So I feel like we need to hold some of these larger businesses accountable as well. Number one. Secondly,
I've heard a lot from my constituents about no public presence. I'll tell you that my husband and I went out on Halloween night because there's children out everywhere and there was tons of traffic in town. And we went through town up and down every side road. There was traffic, there was kids everywhere. And I literally saw 0 police presence. So I know that we're still shorthanded, and I know that the shifts, I want you to kind of explain the shifts to us, because during the Business Coalition meeting, I did hear one of the officers apologizing because there were only 2 police officers on shift. He mentioned that in 1 hour, he attended 55 calls. So are we going to be changing shifts? How do the shifts work? Can you explain that to my constituents and myself tonight to educate us on that? If you can start there, and then I'll continue.
Chief, before you go any further, let's continue with the agenda, or we're never going to get out of here. I definitely want to hear from you, but let's go on to, we just finished public comments. We'll go to committee member comments. Are you done, Ms. Dennis?
I'm done.
Okay, Councilor Dennis, do you have anything? I can, thank you, sir.
Okay, this time I don't have anything, but I'd just like to thank everybody for their comments, and of course I really take this to heart as well, and hearing firsthand from our residents in the community. So I just want to thank everybody for coming. That's all I have right now. Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you, sir. Councilor Didi, can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am. Do you have any comments?
It works when it wants.
Check.
I just want to say that I'm listening to all our community members and I'm taking it to heart, and especially to the homeless people. You're very courageous for coming in front of us and in front of your community members, and I just appreciate you. And I wish there were programs, and we will try to find some for you. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Mayor, do you have anything to add?
Want to thank you all for coming this evening to share your concerns. They're not falling on deaf ears. Even some members of the governing body, myself, I'm a victim of catalytic converter theft. I'm a victim of people squatting in my property. These issues are happening across the city, and they're not being isolated to one neighborhood. I really want to go a little bit further on the catch and release. The city of Espanola will be working with other small towns across the state of New Mexico that are being inflicted with this ravaging crime epidemic that's occurring. And a lot of the small town mayors in New Mexico don't have the resources to combat this. There's also an initiative right now, back in 2006, for those that follow legislation, food was taxed prior to 2006, your groceries. When that happened and the repeal of that tax in 2006, it negatively affected budgets for municipalities across the state of New Mexico. We were not able to provide and continue services and amenities. The city of Espanola took a huge budget hit. We were roughly at $16 or $18 million prior to 2006. Just now, we're hovering around $11 million. Food tax, while considered regressive by some, seems to be the only way that municipalities of small size like us can continue to provide services and amenities that the public needs and deserves, like roads, public safety. So I really encourage you to work with the city of Espanola. We're going to be having an Espanola Day at the legislature. I'm prepared for us to get buses together. We need people to come to the legislature and advocate for repeal of catch and release and the repeal of the the ban on the food tax. These situations are going to continue to happen in our community until we can obviously grow our budget, which would be through businesses. But unfortunately, we're in a catch-22 situation. No business is going to come to this city until we can get our crime situation under control. we've heard a lot about concerns. I actually got a good little comment from someone about possibly painting catalytic converters. I know that there's exploratory they were talking about in some communities and such. One of the things, again, it goes back to the legislature. The legislature needs to create effective legislation that combats and pretty much regulates the sale of catalytic converters. New Mexico is one of the states in this country that pretty much there's no supervision, oversight of taking in a catalytic converter to a wrecking yard or a scrap yard. Here at the local level, and I'm not passing the buck, but we need the help of the public to really push upon your legislators. We have these issues that are not just here in Española, they are plaguing the state. The state needs to take a more active and engaged role. This morning at the meeting with the Attorney General about the opioid settlement and with Hector Balderas, there seems to be an issue where, well, the crime is just the problem of the local government, and that's absolutely unacceptable. The crime is happening across this state, and it needs to become a state issue. So I really encourage you all to be engaged like you are now. There's probably going to be legislative hearings. We'll keep you apprised of those. I really would like you to be an active and engaged participant in how we make a difference for this city. And you know, Mr. Serrano, you brought some really good points when you came up here. And I want to call out Mr. Serrano because he's a very talented former education administrator, and I respect him very highly. Our town is not the way it was 20 years ago. And Chief Garcia, I brought him aboard because he's a native of this valley and he's committed to this community because he saw this town when it was great. And I believe Española has so much potential when we can put our heads together and we can work together and we can get back on track. Unfortunately, we have a situation right now with ravaging crime. Councilor Peggy Sue Martinez walked in to tell me the meeting starting, and what was I on the phone with? I was talking to a constituent about some crime here on West Granada. I field calls every day.
Please do not interrupt. It's rude. If you wanted to speak for public comments, you had every opportunity to sign up.
I'm no voter. I'm just stressing my concerns to them.
Matt, sir, please.
We field calls every day, and we're very concerned about these issues. But they're not isolated to one neighborhood, and they're not isolated to just Española. And so we want everyone to be engaged and involved in how we make a difference at the state level. I just want to thank you all for coming. That's part of the key initiative of being in a community. You have to be the difference, and it takes a village. And I'm excited that you all are engaged about these issues, and thank you for your wonderful comments. While they are sometimes negative, they are all constructive in how we make a difference in this city.
Thank you, Mayor. I appreciate your comment. I'm going to go ahead and allow Councilor Martinez to make some comments also if he would like.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I've taken to heart everything, of course, that you've all have said this evening, but there are some issues that I've listened to that are really bothersome. That I know that with every entity, whether it's city, private, whatever it is, personal life, we can all make ourselves better. There's always improvement in our lives, and there's always improvement in our police force or in our city force as well. And part of that was communication. I heard so many people say we contacted the police, but they never came. They never called us back. They never let us know what's going on. And I think that's so important because we're asking our community to create these neighborhood watches and these neighborhood coalitions. And if our police force is not going to engage with them, and when they are called, they're not getting called for nothing, for no reason. They're getting called for a purpose, for a reason. A citizen feels unsafe, or a community area is unsafe, and it's so important for that officer to go to those calls, and not just let them know why. Oh, I couldn't make it. I'm sorry, but I couldn't make it. It's not an answer. I'm sorry, it's not an answer. That your job is to go out there, and that is so important. I just really believe that every time a police officer is called out to anything, because we don't know. The person may say, "Oh, I think someone's in my backyard." That someone in the backyard very easily be turned into a breaking and entering and a killing. And if for an officer to say, "Oh, it's just someone in the backyard," or another crime or what if something else might be happening, and that's why I didn't make it. We do have the resources right now that we're utilizing from state, from county. We need to also engage in our pueblos to come in and help at the same time. Our properties are on Pueblo property. They are. And we need to utilize that force as well to get as many officers to be responding to these calls when a person is calling them. I think that's so important. And I really urge that our chief look into those calls and say, why didn't they? And improve on them. It's not to diminish what they're doing, because I think the police force is doing as good effort as they can with the amount of resources that they have, but we can always improve and we can always do better. But if we are asking our community to do their part, then we have to do our part as well. And that's something that's going to make that difference. On the people that came in with the homeless, I have to say, for them to have the courage to come in front of us, considering what we know, how most people think of a lot of these people, it's very encouraging to see them come in. And I encourage them to get the help that they need. Counselor, you stated that there's 22 out of 100 beds at Delancey Street, and there's not a waiting list. That tells me something. What that tells me is that there's a population that have a drug addiction, but there's also a population of that drug addiction that doesn't want help. And unfortunately, what we've seen in the past is not until they're actually in front of a judge that's ordering them to rehab, they're not going to go. Unfortunately, that's the truth. But the people that are willing, like these ones, if they're willing to come in, then they need to get the help that they deserve and what they need to get on their feet. Because I don't know how most of you live, but the majority of us live from paycheck to paycheck or once a month. Any one of us could lose our job and in 2 months be homeless if you don't do something about it. That's a possibility for anybody. And I know myself, I have 4 kids, I have 6 grandkids, and I'll work till I die if that's what it means for me to help them never be on the street for myself. And I'm sure there's many parents and grandparents that are doing the same thing out there. But as a community, we have to see how we get these people their help, keep them their dignity, but at the same time protect all of you from that. From the ones, because there is the criminal and there's the homeless. There's 2 different entities there. The criminal needs to be put away, plain and simple. I don't think anybody would disagree with that. But the homeless that need help, we need to help them. I would really urge that this is a time, not just in our city, but our counties and our state, that those social workers need to get out of behind the desk and need to go engage these people. In my position, I try to get people help to help pay their electric bill. Very simple, right? Majority of these entities that I have to contact, well, have them come to my office. Have them come to my office. Santa Fe, Albuquerque, Los Alamos. Most of these people can't even put gas, much less they can't pay their electric bill. But that's what they want them to do. And I can only imagine when it comes to whether it's housing or whether it's food stamps or whether it's any type of assistance, it's come to my office. These people need to really get off of their behinds, out from behind the desk, and go to where these people that need the help are. And I think that's something that we need to work at to get that kind of services. That's the only way we're going to help a lot of these people. Thank you.
Thank you for recognizing our problems.
Yeah, one of
the first one that said anything
resources that we want to bring in is to go out, once we have an overdose, is to go back to that individual in that house a week later to see if they need resources, to offer them help. And agree, or whatever they need to once they sober up or a week later, to go back and try to offer them that help. So that is something that we're, the fire department, we're trying to work towards.
So I'll close that committee member comments with my own, just stating that
This governing body is probably one of the best governing bodies that I've worked with in my 11 years here at City Hall. And to some of you, that might not be a big deal, but to me it is. Every single person that sits on this council is committed to improving Espanola. We don't always agree on everything, but we do our best. The money that was spent on moving the police station to the Walmart area, first and foremost, that building was bought a year and a half ago at a very good deal that was presented to the city, and we jumped on it thinking that it would be an opportune building to have for some use coming down the road. Little did we know that that use was going to be so soon and that it was going to land up being a police station. 37% of the crime that is happening in the Espanola area is happening and within a 1.5 mile radius of that area. So when you talk about the businesses and how it is important to address the businesses, one of the issues, the reason that we address the businesses is because the crime is happening in the business sector. Even though the crime is happening in the surrounding area also, the majority of the crime, according to our maps and our information, is happening in that area. That's the reason that this governing body has moved to move that police station into that area to have a bigger presence and to do whatever we can to address that issue. The money that was utilized was brought into question in this meeting concerning why did the city not purchase more officers with that $400,000 that we received to remodel that building. The money that was utilized to remodel that building was actually a gift from Michelle Lujan Grisham to this community in the wake of knowing what the status is with the crime in that area. So our mayor went to the governor's office with a problem, and she said, go for it, do it, we will fund it. So they provided us with that money. There is no way that we can take that money and utilize it for salaries. This governing body has provided the police department with the highest raises they have ever seen in the history of this community. Let me say that again. In the history, we have raised their pay to be as competitive as any other community. Santa Fe, we raised ours, they raised theirs, so we had no choice but to come back and raise ours again. We are invested in keeping the officers here. We are invested in training officers that are locals so that they stay in this community. Today, I think we have 9 new hires. 9 new hires and continuing to grow. So this is something that is always happening. We are doing whatever we can to make sure that we keep people here. The other thing that we're working on is the closing down of high crime areas. What are their initiatives? The community, the business coalition is based on just working with the businesses to trespass these people from these areas so that there's not so much panhandling in the business sector. The Clean and Lean also is dealing with houses that are vacant, where we're trying to avoid squatting, homeless people squatting in these vacant homes, turning on fires, burning these houses down. We're very concerned about trespassing, vagrancy, all of these issues, and these are all issues that this governing body has head on. Nobody has run away from these issues. We are all doing our best to try and address every single thing that is happening. And I'll tell you what, from a year ago to now, I can actually say that I feel like we've done a hell of a job. We might not see it yet, but I feel like we're heading in the right direction. So with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and open up the next issue. It's matters from the chair. We have invited all of you from the Santa Fe County and the city of Espanola to talk about your concerns. Basically, we probably heard most of them under public comments. One issue that was not shared during this deal is where is Santa Fe County in all of this? The city of Espanola is 66% Rio Arriba County, 33% Santa Fe County. We never get help from Santa Fe County. We had invited Sheriff Mendoza to this meeting because we feel that it's important to integrate them into utilizing their resources here in our community. We have 5% of their constituency here in our community. Let me say that again, 5% of their constituency lives in Espanola. So we are not receiving help from them on E911. We are not receiving help from them on the police department, and I'm not sure if we're getting anything through the fire department. So these are all things that are very important. We feel like we need them here. We need their presence. We need their help. So we want to present them with all of the concerns that have been brought to us tonight. We probably will go to a Santa Fe County Commission board meeting to present them with the issues that you all have presented here tonight. The last thing I'll state is the courage of the homeless that came in here. You know, I'm guilty myself. I want to tell you that I'm so fed up with the homelessness in this community and what it has done to tear this community down. And I see homeless people and I don't feel sorry for them anymore. My heart has hardened towards them. And by listening to these people here today, it makes me sympathetic to their needs and to understanding the direction that the city has to take. We need to engage the homeless shelter here. They need to understand that there are people that are not drug addicted that want help. And I believe that that's very important, that we need to be communicating with them also. Some of the things that were also brought up was the lack of response from online police reports. The chief has stated that he will look at that policy and revamp it and make sure that there's an officer looking at that on a regular basis. As far as all your other concerns, please know that they are taken to heart and we are doing everything we can. These are all things that we know are happening. We are very concerned and we're doing everything that we can to make sure that we're affecting the situation. We do believe that neighborhood policing is a big thing and probably can help the situation. We also believe that neighborhood watch programs that you guys have already established are like the answer, but we need the connection to our police department. So that's the link that's missing. We need back and forth communication to and from the police departments. I'm gonna yield to Councilor Cecilia Lujan. Yes, ma'am.
Just a request, and I think everyone here would agree with me. A request that the city, the police department, and I know there's lack of resources, we understand that, but sometime in the near future, if a plan can be put in place where the police presence is seen in our streets. I understand it can't happen every day on Zuni Lane. I understand it can't happen every day on, McCurdy Road, maybe, yes, because McCurdy Road has a lot more traffic and maybe police are driving through there, but for police presence is seen in our streets every so often. And I can guarantee that once these thieves start seeing this, they're gonna say, wow. And honestly, we can do our part with neighborhood watch and whatnot, but we honestly request that somehow the city of Espanola, the police department, put in place where they will have police presence in our streets every so often. Thank you.
Madam Chair, I thank you, former Councilor Lujan, for bringing that up. We actually have started doing, based on GIS mapping and like heat sensitive radar, plotting out where 911 calls are mainly originating. And so we have found a lot of them are growing around the Riverside corridor and actually on the backside of Zuni Lane. About 60% of our calls are coming from that area. And a lot of it is actually related to Santa Clara Apartments. And so we are already in the forefront of doing that and charting it out. And so it's taking time, but it's correlating with the E911 calls. And based on that, because obviously we also hear a lot about the neighborhood that comes and barks the loudest. And so we admire that, but we also have to look at the hard data where the issues are actually happening too.
For instance, last night, my neighbor here, Manuel, and I, and Donald, and a couple of other neighbors, we heard gunshots. They called it in, and they were told they were fireworks. No, they were gunshots. So we're just requesting that, and I think I can speak for all of us here that if the city puts in plan police presence every so often on certain streets, I think it would be appreciated.
Thank you, Councilor.
Especially late at night.
Thank you, ma'am. Okay, let's move on to, anything else on constituent services in Santa Fe County? Do you have anything?
Madam Chair, other than, I did, meet with several of my constituents to address the speeding on McCurdy Road. I don't know if Max is gone. And I sat there during the time where the parents were going to McCurdy Charter School to pick up the kids, and I was shocked. I can't even tell you. Several of the constituents from Chilito Lindo, we stood at the bottom of the road so that I could see for myself. And there were cars coming from north, there were cars coming from south, and it was insane. There was no traffic control, and then a school bus came from probably 5 cars back. I thought for sure there was gonna be a head-on and sped right in between all of the traffic because he was late to pick up kids at Fairview Elementary. It was just shocking to me. So I think that not only the traffic control in that area, there needs to be another plan. So I think we need to talk to the school about picking up the kids from a different location, possibly than right off of McCurdy Road, because that definitely did not work out. I will say that what McCurdy Charter School does currently to keep the kids safe, because I did drive with my constituents all the way through till they picked up grandkids and saw what they had put in place, and they have an excellent plan that they have in place to pick up kids. But the traffic, I mean, La Jolla was backed up, McCurdy, both sides were backed up, and it was for about 30 minutes, I see nodding yes, and then it cleared up, and then it was back. And it was literally scary. And so that's one of the things I did bring to Chief's attention. However, like he said, we have to prioritize, things, but the safety of the kids in that area and also at the high school and other areas is something that's also on our radar, just so that everybody knows that. As soon as we can get Sheriff Mendoza in contact with Chief Garcia, Sheriff Mendoza was on vacation this week. He'll be back this next week. We'll do so and we can follow up and hopefully get some assistance from them.
I would like to sit in on that meeting, and I would hope that you could sit in on that meeting also, and possibly even the mayor. I feel like it's very important that we have that meeting as soon as possible. We'll go ahead and move on to the next item of business. Thank you all for your attendance, and thank you for, I'm sorry, go ahead, Counselor.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just wanted to echo with Councilor Benavides on the traffic. A lot of that traffic, what it also entails is that people start to get impatient that aren't waiting for their kids and they're trying to speed around them, which is what's causing some of these accidents, or they're actually going through stop signs there, like at La Jolla Street and the McCurdy intersection, as well as Fairview Lane and McCurdy Road intersection as far as that's
So is
concerned.
that happening to the McCurdy School from the McCurdy Road, on that dirt road?
On
that
both
cuts
sides
down?
of the street.
No, it's both sides. So people are, the traffic is backed up all the way to State Road 76 because we walked along that
Okay,
road.
so McCurdy needs to come up with a different pickup plan, because that's the
Exactly.
danger,
That's
so.
exactly.
On a different note, are we able to create an ordinance that would increase the penalties for people that are accepting the catalytic converters? Like the chief did state that when they caught this person, he had 9 catalytic converters in his house. Can there be any increase in penalties as far as jail or payment of some sort within the city limits? I know we can't do anything further than the city limits, but
I don't think you can.
That's a
go beyond the state.
That's a felony.
Yeah.
It's a felony. That wouldn't be a misdemeanor handled in municipal
Within
court.
municipality, it would be a state
The other thing
jurisdiction.
we are addressing so that everybody knows are the lighting issues.
Oh, yeah. So the city of Espanola also feels that in darkness is where issues happen. In the darkness is where people do their naughty. So we have recently adopted 1% of what we pay, what everybody pays here in the community to go explicitly for lighting. So we've earmarked all of that money to improve the lighting throughout the community. So you'll start to see more lighting in your neighborhoods, the darker areas. We're doing a study to find out which areas are the darkest and comparing that study to where the crime is happening and hopefully addressing it with more lighting in the future. So that's another thing that this council has done to improve things. So
I'll go ahead and go on. We're gonna go on to discussion and recommendation items for full council. The first item of business is a certification of recognition presented to agencies supporting the Espanola Fire Department, presented by Fire Chief Johnny Martinez and DC Chief, Deputy Chief John Wickersham. I want to say thank you so much to the fire department. These guys have been inundated recently in ways that this community has no idea. In the middle of the night, these guys are at their work, doing their job, shutting off fires, and they have been very, very busy, so I'll let you go ahead, Chief.
Madam Pro Tem Governing Body, as Fire Chief and my Assistant Fire Chief of the Espanola Fire Department, I want to recognize the value of each of these individuals and organizations provide to our community. These are the people who are molding the community in which they serve, provide the look and feel for the community. I know as firefighters it's difficult to promote themselves for what they do. For sure, the public does not see everything that firefighters do for our communities. We work to provide our community with the best we have to offer. The member of our communities do see everything we do because it happens, do not see everything it happens because it happens behind the scenes. We go to drills to improve and maintain our skills. We check that our trucks are in top working order, maintain the stations, plan our personnel activities around our calendars for community events, train for the next emergency, plan the budget, apply for grants, and maintain and work towards improving the community. So again, thank you for the time and effort that you put into our Fire Safety Day that was held at Lowe's Home Improvement Center, for being an outstanding role model. And Espanola Fire couldn't have done it without you, and thank you. So I yield the floor now to my assistant, who will be presenting our certificates.
So yeah, we wanted to thank the community and then also the mutual aid departments, automatic aid departments, and the agencies that come out and help us on a daily basis. Today we had a big gas leak in front of Santa Clara Casino. It was one of the major gas lines. We called out our automatic aid. They came, no problem, to assist us right away. We couldn't do this without them. Lowe's Home Improvement, our safety day, they were out there with us, handing out hats, handing out good stuff to the kids. So yeah, we couldn't do this without our partners. And so first I want to recognize our automatic aid. So this is who we call when we have a big structure fire in the middle of the night, 3 in the morning. And this is who comes out and helps us. They come out willingly, all the time, 3 in the morning. So this is to thank them. Santa Clara Fire Department. I don't know if there's anybody here from Santa Clara Fire Department. Is Alex here? No. So Santa Clara, they're our automatic aid. So that's who gets paged out right away is Santa Clara. La Masia San Pedro Fire Department. Jonathan is the So yeah, these guys bring us water support, and they also have the county air truck. So they bring us our air supply when our air bottles go low. They fill up our air, and also lighting. So they're a huge help to us. Next, I have.
Who else is here from La Masia Fire Department?
We have a few. We have.
These guys over here.
Right here. You guys want to come up too? So yeah, so that's La Masia. They're huge and they really help us. We want to thank their family also, because 3 in the morning they're coming out to our calls, their wives, their girlfriends, their family members. So we want to thank them as well. Next up, we have Alasada Fire Department. Their other mutual or automatic aid that comes out every time. Yes. Yeah, if you guys want to stand up and just be recognized from all the Sana Fire Department, thank you for always coming out and supporting us. So this will go to Rio Arriba County Fire EMS. I know we have Chief Cisneros, or Director, excuse me, sorry. If you want to come up and get this. And also we want to thank Delilah. She always comes out. She's helped us for years. So we want to thank her. Thank you, Chief. Yeah, Delilah, she's 802. She comes out to anything we need. I'm constantly calling her, seeing if she has resources available to send us, and she's likewise. So like the police department, we're like the fire department. We all work together to get things done. So it's awesome. So let's see. Okay, Wingate I have next. These guys are amazing. These guys come out and help us all the time. And likewise, they call us and we go running. So we appreciate it. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
It's just to get the commodity. So,
So the next one is Chamita Fire Department. They came out. They really helped us with the Lowe's Home Improvement event we had. So we really want all those improvements. Right there he is. All right, thanks, Chief. Yeah, so there you go. We really appreciate it. Our Rio Grande fire. Do you have anybody from Rio Grande? We also want to recognize La Puebla Fire and Pewaukee Fire, Santa Fe County. I don't think there's anybody here from them. But yeah, Santa Fe County helps us out a lot all the time too as well. So we want to recognize CareFlight. We have a representative of CareFlight. This is our air ambulance that we call. They come out and they're actually awesome with training. They do all our EMS training, or not all of it, but they do some of it. So yeah, we have a training next month with them. So she's going to come in, bring the helicopter, land in the parking lot over there, and do EMS training for us, 6-hour EMS CEs. So they're awesome. They helped us with the Lowe's Home Improvement event. So we really want to thank you. Thank you for everything. Rack Stop, they're huge. Rack Stop, we can do. They bring their DJ out. Like I said, we worked like for 3 years on that resource guide, and we couldn't have done that resource guide without you.
Thank you guys.
So if you don't have the QR code, download it, and it has all your resources, statewide resources, anything you need. So we really appreciate you.
Thank you
All
guys.
the help you do.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. I don't think there's anybody from American Red Cross. They came out for our Lowe's Home Improvement Safety Day, and they helped us with smoke detectors. We're actually going to do a program with them. So if you don't have a smoke detector, or even if you want us to go to your house and inspect your house and look at your smoke detector, we're going to do a program with them where we'll go out to your house and do that and install the smoke detector for them. Lowe's Home Improvement, we couldn't have done it without their parking lot and their participation, and they gave us smoke detectors. Also, Guadalupe Credit Union, they helped us out tremendously this year. They purchased our breast cancer shirts. They gave us $600 to buy smoke detectors. We actually did a smoke detector event last Friday where we gave out I don't know if Alex is here. Alex, how many smoke detectors did we give out?
From Guadalupe?
Yeah.
48.
48 smoke detectors. And how many of those did not have smoke detectors?
That one was about 36 of them.
36 didn't have smoke detectors, so that was awesome. So Guadalupe, I'll make sure all these agencies get this. And last but not least, Mayor Pro Tem, Peggy Sue Martinez. She's amazing. She comes out to our fires at 3 in the morning, brings us coffee, brings us snacks. The last fire we had, she showed up and helped us with that. And we couldn't do it because you're our chair for public safety. We bring you anything and you're really supportive. We couldn't have done it without the council members as well. And Mayor, thank you for everything as well. So,
I just want to say, you know, like I said, the city of Espanola spends almost half their budget on public safety. Let me say that again, almost half the whole budget goes on public safety. We're really proud of the fire department, and we're really grateful for the help that we're receiving from all these entities: Okewinga, Santa Clara, Lowe's, Guadalupe Credit Union, CareFlight, La Mesilla Fire Department, all this automatic aid and all this collaboration. We are so much stronger together. Let me say it again, we are so much stronger together. These entities, I've been out there at 1 in the morning, 2 in the morning, 3 in the morning, 4 in the morning, watching these guys work, and the work that they do is just amazing. Everybody knows their job, nobody's complaining, everybody's on task, everybody's getting it done. They're shutting these fires off in a relevantly quickly time, and they still stick around to make sure that it's dead and it's secure, and everybody's working together. The fire departments have no issue with each other. There's no competitiveness. It's all about getting the job done, and it's amazing the collaboration that we've had and the work that these guys have been able to put together. We have even had female firefighters out there, one from La Mesilla, Bob's better half, and other females that we have employed here at our department that have just been incredible. The rookies that are in our department are amazing. Let me say that again. They're amazing. These guys are on it. They want to work. They want to learn. And they're excited to be at these fires. And we just love having them, and we want to keep them. So thank you guys for everything you guys are doing. You guys are shining light in our community. I'm hopeful that the police department is going to be right there with you guys soon. Thank you again for everything you're doing. We certainly appreciate both of you, okay?
I just want to thank our crew because we're shorthanded right now, so they're pulling overtime like crazy, but they still go to every call like it's their first call and they get it done. I also want to thank Emergency Management, Jeff Sargent, and Victoria. Victoria's always out there with us, so is Jeff. So I want to thank them as well.
I'd like to thank Victoria also. Could you please stand, Miss Victoria? Victoria's also one of these people that is out there at 4 o'clock in the morning trying to support these guys. She's the secretary for emergency management here in our community. And, you know, rain or shine, she's going to do whatever she can to support your department as the governing body and the mayor also. So just thank you so much, Victoria, for everything you're doing for us. We appreciate it. Working through departments and collaborating. Thank you so much. That's it, I guess, for that. We're going to go on to update on pending animal control complaints from Chief Michel Garcia. Are you on the line, sir?
Yes, ma'am, I am.
Can you talk about some of the major complaints that animal control has had and where you're at with those situations, please?
Ma'am, we've had several complaints about dogs that are running loose in the neighborhoods. And as a result of these numerous complaints, we've concentrated our efforts. And I believe up to this point, I believe there was a Mr. Gallegos, was the one I met with last week. We have resolved all the issues that were brought up to me.
Hold on, Miss, let the room clear. Hold on a minute. Hold on. Judge. Go ahead, Chief.
Like I was stating, ma'am, the issues that have been brought to my attention, I believe I met with former Mayor Gallegos and the constituents in his neighborhood. They expressed their concerns on that same day. Our animal control officer, who is newly hired, Albert Benavides, showed up and he addressed the issue, as you heard earlier. He's been very active, and currently what he's doing is he is reviewing and revising my animal control SOP that's going to go into our SOP. So he's been a value-added addition, and I look forward to him continuing to be as aggressive and as responsive as he's been.
Thank you, Chief. I'll touch base a little bit on this too. Ben and I have been meeting regularly on Fridays to go over the animal ordinances of the city of Espanola. We're doing a comparison with.
I can't hear a word you're saying. It's really loud out in the hallway.
We're doing a comparison with Santa Fe County and with other communities, and just going over each section of the whole animal ordinance. We will be presenting to legal as soon as we're done. The public will have an opportunity to tweak it, and the governing body will also have an opportunity to tweak it. We're hopeful that it'll pass full council and we can change things up. This ordinance hasn't been worked on in more than 20 years, so it was way overdue that it get done. It's a lot of work, but we have had some input from some people. We do meet on Fridays here at Chambers, and we go over it. We will not be meeting this week because I have a funeral to attend, so unfortunately I won't be able to be here, but it's an ongoing thing and we're still working on it. And the animal resource officer, Mr. Benavides, has been very helpful also, so we appreciate him, and we'll continue to work at that and try and get that to full council as soon as possible. In the meantime, we certainly appreciate the positive feedback that we've gotten for him attacking situations that have come to light through the governing body or through your own officer, and we appreciate the work that you guys are doing with that. So thank you, Chief, for that, okay? Hello?
Thank you, ma'am.
Yes, sir. Okay, we have a recommendation to full council, a memorandum of understanding between the Espanola Public Schools and the Espanola Police Department for a school resource officer for 2022-2023. Can you tell us a little bit about that, Mr. Chief Garcia?
Yes, ma'am. This is an MOU that we based on the previous MOUs prior to my arrival as the chief. So there have been nothing significant that has changed in the original 12-page document. The document had been reviewed by the Espanola Public Schools, and they had agreed to the document that you all have in front of you. The one sticking point that we had, and we eventually came over, was the school resource officer overtime, which you'll see in an additional addendum, which is the 13th page of your packet. And what we finally came to an agreement with on this was that my department, through my budget, we would pay up to the first, if it reached $5,000 worth of overtime, and we would pay that amount, and then anything over that, the school district would be responsible for that. As you can see at the bottom, the additional pay had to be agreed on by both myself and upon all the approval of the city council. It would be in effect once it's approved and signed by myself and the school superintendent. So in and of itself, the MOU has not changed in any way. There's been nothing significant, but the one thing that has changed is the overtime. And I know because of finances that became an issue, and because I know our governing body is so concerned about the safety of our youth, I was willing to work with the school district and adjust some parts of my budget to pay for that overtime, because I think it's necessary to have a school resource officer there for the after-school activities. It's necessary to have it before. So as a concession I agreed to pay for that initial overtime out of my budget.
So, that's 500 for the one, 5,000 for the one officer, ¿verdad?
Yes, ma'am.
And they expect this officer to be at, after-school activities and that kind of stuff?
Well, ma'am, we actually, the school superintendent and I sat down and we went over, the majority of the activities. There could still be unforeseen activities, but she and I actually sat down and went through the whole school year, and we went through the activities that we could see right off the top where the officer would be needed. Initially, the amount that we came up with, she and I, was, I think it wasn't more than $1,500. But again, being new and just going through where we're at, we were willing to put it to that amount. I don't see it, honestly, going over $1,500. And maybe it's something that we could address with the next MOU. But I think for this year and for the expediency and safety of our students, we were willing to just base it on the 5,000 just to be safe. But we don't see it going over $1,500.
So when our officers are at events, because when they have events at the high school where there's big crowds, 4,000 plus people in the crowd, they require more than one officer. Does this touch on that at all, sir?
Yes, ma'am. That was why we put the additional money, so that if I have to pay for the additional overtime of my officers, that would be budgeted through this agreement, through this memorandum.
Okay, I'm satisfied with that. What is the total cost of the school resource officer, sir?
The total cost, ma'am, is, I believe it's on page,
One.
I'm sorry.
One.
It is on page 1, ma'am.
I think so.
I believe it's, they're providing the 70, they're gonna pay the full, whatever it costs for our officers to include the fringe and the benefits. They will be paid for everything now. And now with the changes in pay, it might increase, but they agreed to whatever it costs to have an officer there for the year. And the other reason why I agree for the overtime, ma'am, is there are days when the officer won't be at the school, and I'll be utilizing him in our community. So that was one of the reasons why we made that concession.
So there was one other question while you scroll through there and look for the amount. The other question is, does that officer work a full shift at the school, or do they come back into the community after the school day?
I actually have him working 9 hours, ma'am. I have him there an hour before, because I want him to watch. We talked about the issues with speeding. We talked about the issues, the dangerousness of the vehicles that are sometimes going into the school. So I already have approved him to work 9-hour days. So he does get 1 hour of overtime every day. And I expect him to address at the school any type of traffic related incidents or any activities that happen before school. And that came up as a result of, I believe myself and Councilor Benavides had talked about some of the things, the speeding that happens at the schools. So because of that, I did authorize him to start an hour early and address those issues.
I really believe that Espanola Elementary has a parking issue at the end of the school day that can hinder fire trucks and stuff from getting on Coronado and getting through Coronado. And I believe that the same issue is happening over at McCurdy, and I think that it's up to the schools to have a parking or a way for those people to pick up their kids without blocking the right of way of the people. So I think it's time that those school boards address these issues. This has been an ongoing thing for a long time, so I'm hopeful that we can get that fixed. You can't find the amount?
No, ma'am. I'm looking for it, and I think it was they were going to pay the full amount. It says, I am trying to see where it
The
says.
district will reimburse EPB the cost of the salary and benefits for one SRO for the number of days the SRO are engaged. Okay, could we have a dollar amount attached to that before it goes to full council, please?
I could do that, ma'am, and this was the issue, and I'm glad we brought it up, because in the event that the pay changes, then they are not gonna cover the overage, and it's gonna affect both the overtime it's gonna affect a lot. So I think the reason why we put down, they're gonna cover whatever the actual cost is because they're willing to pay whatever it costs us, and it doesn't pigeonhole us.
Okay, so for the council's knowledge as to what this is, what the value of it is, at least for right now, even if we don't put it in the document, could you have that information by the time it goes to full council?
Yes, ma'am, I do know that it's approximately $75,000.
Okay, that's what I was looking for. Okay, thank you. Can I have a motion to move this to full council, please?
Motion to move this MOU to full council.
Councilor
Second
Dennis.
motion.
Thank you, Councilor Dennis. You're awesome.
Yay.
Yay.
You're still with us.
Under discussion, does anybody have any other things they would like to ask or inquire about? Councilor Didi, Councilor Dennis, Tim Salazar.
I think that's a great position that the school district needs, and I'm glad they're willing to pay. And thank you to Chief Michel for covering the first 5,000.
Madam Chair, I would also like to add that I think this is a good thing. Just as the chief mentioned as well, for that 1 hour to address speeding issues, I think that definitely help a lot. But at the same time, I know it's happening in various areas because, of course, going up to EVHS, and of course, as mentioned, through McCurdy, and definitely on the west side, James H. Rodriguez Elementary. That is something, of course, some of us in the council, including the mayor, live on the west side of town, so we see that a little bit more often. And it is a concern regarding the speeding, and then, of course, the backup of individuals that are picking up their children. So these issues, I think, will definitely assist that by allowing this school resource officer to work that extra hour. So thank you for that, Madam Chair, and thank you, Chief, for the commitment to that as well. Thank you.
Michel, Chief, have you guys met the school safety group that was formed under the leadership of Miss Jeanette? Has that group met again, Chief?
No, ma'am. Since our prior city manager left, we have not received any more invitations to attend any meetings.
Could we see about reconnecting that? I really feel like there's some important issues, one of them being the Crime Stoppers initiative, making sure that the kids know what app to download. Let's do some education on that in the schools. And also, we just signed a memorandum of understanding through E911 this week that connects E911 with the availability to view the video from the high school in real time and afterwards also in case something goes down over there. And also we at 911 have bought into a programming that allows for text and video chat with the E911 operator. If somebody contacts E911 and they cannot talk because their life is in danger or they don't want anybody else around them to know that they're calling, the operator will then text them back a link where they can film live video, and we can also ping their coordinates and find out where they're at. And also we can receive text through that link. So that was just adopted this week. The fire department, the police department, and the sheriff's office are going to have an opportunity to buy into the programming so that they can also see things in real time. So if we have that programming available, any fire department will be able to see what's going on at a fire if somebody is there reporting it in live time while you guys get to there. So it's very important that programming be adopted for our leadership and for you guys to use as a tool. Like I said, Crime Stoppers is something that we definitely have to work on with the students and making sure they understand what the app is and how to download it and how to transfer intelligence to somebody in case they hear of something bad going down in the schools. So thank you, Michel, for this presentation, and thank you for your work on this, and we're looking forward to finally solidifying the contract with the Espanola Public Schools. I'll go ahead and call for a roll call vote. Thank you, Victoria.
Councilor Dennis Tim Salazar.
For the motion.
Counselor Didi Valdez,
For the motion.
Counselor Denise Benavides,
In favor.
Mayor Pro Tem Peggy Sue Martinez.
Also in favor.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
We're gonna go ahead and move on to department reports. We have, Police Department, Mr. Garcia, Chief Garcia. Do you have anything that you wanna share with us, sir?
My report, ma'am, will be real brief. I went over, I think the biggest things that I want to go over, and you have a copy of our incident report. As always, we're close to 1,500 calls for the month of September, and it hasn't slowed down for us. We're still out there taking these calls. I think the biggest concern that I show is all the accidents that we have in our city. I know soon that I'm going to be presenting, I'm hoping to present to this committee some initiatives that we've been talking about, some new ideas, speed cameras. We're talking about, being able to give citations in different ways. But I think accidents in our city, and I think they're the result of the speeding, and I think that's something that does have to be addressed. The other thing I wanted to bring up was, as you can see, animal control requests are pretty high in our city. It's the first time we've been under 90, we're at 87. But the only other things I want to point out is that we are responding to our community. We had 60 requests that we were out for courtesy rounds. We also had 117 welfare checks. Well, I don't deny there's times that we may not always be able to immediately show up, but I can tell you, ma'am, that we are out there, and just so you all know, I've reorganized my staff, and we're doing everything we can to make sure we're more responsive. But I think next month's numbers will be very different because they'll take into account the actual operation that we started in October. But for now, ma'am, I agree about the speeding. I agree about the reckless driving. But we are doing everything we can, and we are going to come to this committee and to the council, and we're going to ask for support with various initiatives that we are going to present to you all.
Okay, thank you, Chief. I really feel like it's important for us all to stick together and to do whatever we can to address the issues that have come before us. They're the same issues all over the community. People are frustrated with the drug dealing. People are frustrated with the panhandling, the squatting, the trespassing. All of these issues are the same all over our community. They're the same thing. So I really believe that neighborhood policing is something. I want to sit down with you and talk about establishing a official neighborhood watch program, assigning one officer to run that program and to get it off the ground. I feel like we have a big issue with having these neighborhoods that are already established and already connected and have established trust. I feel like that's half the work in connecting to a neighborhood watch program in these areas. And we've already heard from numerous. We've heard from the McCurdy area the last time we had public safety, which is almost the same area as this, but not quite. And now we heard from a different sector with Dalton, Ziegler, and Zuni. So I feel like those are three different areas that we could also move off of and utilize the information that we collected here tonight to organize a neighborhood watch and a neighborhood deal. The whole thing for me lands up being on the accountability on the police department to respond to the calls of the community. I can't reiterate that enough. We cannot have unanswered calls, no matter what the deal is. We have to figure out a way to make sure that these calls are answered. And I need to know how many calls are not being answered. I need from E911 some data that tells me that we never did something for somebody. That just makes me really sad. I feel like when somebody makes a commitment to dial 911, they feel that there's a need and it's an emergency. And if we are not responsive to those calls, what's going to happen is that more and more this community will turn to vigilante justice, and that's not what we want. We want to affect the problems. So we need accountability from the department. We need to find out what exactly is going on. And I'm going to request from E911 that they please let your department know on a regular basis
how many calls went completely unanswered, and maybe we could have somebody in the office following through with these people and making sure that they're heard at least, and that the city cares about their problem or their issue, okay?
Chief, Chief, I just wanted to add that in working together with a friend and his wife yesterday, he did mention to me, since they are boots on the ground, that after the first, I guess you'd say bust, I don't know, the first that you had, several of the homeless did leave the community. Others went into so-called hiding. But I think as you move forward, right, I think that we're going to see less and less of them in our community, except for those that truly need help and want help. So I think that, I think it's going to work. I'm really confident. And I think that anything that you need help with, or your department needs help with, because you can't be all fix all, right? I think that you just need to reach out, and, we can help you as much as we can with what we can.
And I feel like utilizing Councilor Denise as a bridge between Santa Fe County and Espanola is critical. She already has some established trust with some of the commissioners and with some of the department leaders over there, specifically Sheriff Mendoza. So I feel like her allowing you to sit down with him and set up that deal, to possibly listen to a recording of this meeting so he can understand that 90% of the concerns that came from this evening were out of Santa Fe County, and how important it is for him to be collaborating with us and providing us with that opportunity to utilize them as a second. I know that if we don't have an availability, I know Sheriff Merrifield has been gracious in providing us with some type of backup as much as possible. And I really feel like I would want the same thing to be coming from Sheriff Mendoza out of Santa Fe County. So I think these are very important meetings that need to be had, and very important information that needs to be shared. And the more that we can do as a collaboration with that county, I feel like we can be better off. So as soon as he's available, I'm gonna have Councilor Denise set you up with him to hash out some of our concerns and possibly try and get some help from him, okay?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
And Chief, it might warrant us going before Board of County Commissioners. I will share with you that at the last Housing Board of County Commissioners meeting, there was questions from some of the commissioners, because there was conversation about what needs to happen in order for HUD to approve another 2 officers be housed at that McCurdy Public Housing Facility. So they need to gather some data about the crime and issues that are going on in that area. They're also going to allocate additional sheriff's patrols, particularly in that area, because of the crime and issues that are happening there, especially because right now they're undergoing some remodeling. And there were comments from some of the Board of County Commissioners saying, well, who's going to pay for the overtime? And, it came up that, they were uneducated, because we mentioned to them that they're not part of the city of Espanola. So the city of Espanola would not be willing to assist in any of that, because we do assist them with a lot of things that go on in that facility, but they're not annexed in and part of the city. So it is their obligation to do more there, as is in other portions of our community. And so, we'll have to talk to Sheriff Mendoza, but I suspect he might need also a little backup maybe from us in going and maybe talking to some of the commissioners, which I'm happy to set up as well.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Okay.
And if you would, ma'am, the information you need, please let me know their email and any stats that I need to make sure we have. Please let me know, and I'll make sure my staff gets those for us before we meet. And let me know the time period, and I'll make sure those stats are available and provided.
One of the reasons, Chief, that I was going to reach out to you to do that is because right now we're gathering the stats from Santa Fe County, but I can tell you that I feel like Espanola responds more to that facility than does Santa Fe County. So, it'll kind of speak loud and clear to the commissioners, right? That by all means, the city's doing more than their part in assisting. And so I think that as soon as you and I can get together to do that when you're feeling better, that'll be helpful for us.
Thank you,
Yes,
Councilor.
ma'am.
We appreciate you being able to tie the city of Espanola back to the county of Santa Fe. And we believe that this is part of the key to solving this issue within our community of the shortage. So thank you so much. I'm going to go ahead and move on to Honorable Judge Joe Madrid, talk about his presentation with what's going on at Municipal Park.
Good morning.
Good afternoon, everybody. I say good morning so much, it's just.
Good morning. Pretend we're in your court.
Actually, it was nice the other day. I walked into court and I was like, Happy Halloween, everybody. And everybody's faces just like,
Like
So-
you're a real person and
Yeah.
not just the awful judge?
Exactly.
Nice.
Before, for September, we always do a month behind for the financial report. So September 2022, we only had a total of 42 citations. Violations for the year before was 191 in 2022, 2023. Sorry. In total, from fiscal year July 2022 to July 2023, we only had 191 citations in the court.
That's
So that's
yours, right?
from July to now.
No.
I did want to point out on this presentation because I had been talking to Chief and I talked to Leonard over at the sergeant for this transport. There is a line there that says corrections fee, which is $20 from every court cost that we charge. $20 comes for corrections. That corrections fund is supposed to be used for the police department to pay for incarceration costs. According to Chief and everybody that they never really even knew that. So all these years, I don't know if that money is actually getting used for that, or what it's getting, or if it's just getting there and then at the end of the year, the general fund just absorbs it.
So I
So
feel like that's something that Denise as a finance chair can address with finance. And then they will get together with you and get together with Chief and figure out how they're gonna move that line item from your budget to their budget.
well, it needs to reflect on right because that's what I
Right,
intake.
right, right.
So it just reflects that I have intaken that. I just want to make sure that because look, for the month of September, $680. I know sometimes we have individuals that are in custody a lot longer and it costs a lot more, but just even that little bit would help as long as it's getting routed to the police department for whatever they need. For the most part, we're gonna go ahead and go down to page 2, unless you have any questions, madam. Go ahead and go down to page 3. I was looking over this, and for some reason, the data is not 100% correct. This is our list of all the violations for the month of October, which, if you scroll down, it was a total of 59 citations for the whole month. Which I want to say it's only 58 because for some reason one of the teen court cases came up on this, and usually it does not reflect that. So 58 citations for the month of October, and I want to highlight that that was even for the sting where the police department did arrest a good amount of people last week. It was nice. Sheriffs, Rio Grande County sheriffs, they filed in the court a couple cases, so
They're filing it in your court.
they did
right?
file in my court misdemeanors. Misdemeanors. There was a little hiccup on the filing. One day I found I got a call from Rio County Detention, and we have this many inmates, so you need a rain. And I'm like, I had no idea that we even had any of them. So there was a little bit of hiccup with nobody really communicated with us. How are we filing? How are we doing this? They file with magistrate, so they should know how to file with us. But there was some steps missed, but we got that fixed. Thank God.
So it's improving.
Yes, it is improving. It seems like it's improving. I do see that I handle a lot of criminal trespassing, which is I'm trying to find the justice as much as I can and throughout jail time, and it is a battle with a lot of these ones because there's some individuals that 1 file, 2 files, 3 files, they'll go out and get 4 or 5 charges within a week. So those individuals I've been holding accountable and holding because we wait for a trial, they don't show up for trial if we release, so we are holding the ones that are habitual. Well, I am holding people that are habitual offenders.
It's a big issue in the community. I want you to know that a lot of people would look at a trespass and think, oh, it's not that big of a deal. But in reality, you have to figure what trespass is costing this community, and I'll give John Wickersham an opportunity to just talk about how many fires they've gone to that have been caused by somebody that has trespassed a property or that has squatted a property that didn't belong to them, and what the cost of that is. I mean, it's immense. You talk about man hours, 30 fire guys out there for 3 or 4 hours in the nighttime in the middle of the night. That's a lot of resource. You're using the trucks, you're using all the equipment and the whole department, whether they're on call or working or not working. We have officers police guys that are, fire guys that are not on shift, when they know of an alarm, they show. So there's a lot of that comes in where it's costly to this community. So trespass is very important. It might not seem like it's that big of a deal, but it's huge. I believe that if you talk to 80% of the people here, they have that same concern that they don't want people in their property. I feel the same. I don't want anybody in my yard after hours.
And I'll be truthful with you, Madam Mayor Pro Tem. A lot of I would say about 99% of the criminal trespasses I get are not for private houses. They're majority the stores that I get. So I yet to come across a case where it's somebody's private that they trespassed.
Well, recently the mayor did get some information that we didn't know before, but before, if there was a property owner that passed away and the city cleaned and leaned that area where we had $30,000 of public money invested in that property, so we have a lien on this property now. So we actually have a right to trespass people too now because we have a lien on the property. So we have some kind of say on what's going on there. So that's been interesting enough. We recently just got that information that we can go ahead and assert ourselves in getting people off of property that we've already cleaned and leaned. And there's some on Fairview Lane that we've done that have been a problem. And they talked about it, that little camp area behind the Walgreens area and all of that. So that's very interesting. We're hopeful that we can utilize that. So you're probably going to see more trespass as time goes.
That's good news. As far as my graffiti report is really short. My graffiti officer was in office working. We went into the schools to do Red Ribbon Week last week. We hit 7 schools, which is most that we've ever hit. And actually, November 10th, we will be in the Milwaukee schools. My son, I let him miss school one day, and he came to the presentation, and I told his teacher what he was doing because it was only half day. They were having a party. He went back and told the principal and told the teacher what they did, and then they contacted me. And they're like, sorry, we're making it happen.
Because a lot of kids from the Powaka school system are out of the Espanola Valley, so I feel like, you know what, I want you to be everywhere that there's kids. I feel like that's a really, really big need. I applaud you for what you're doing with involving kids and getting them involved. I want to have Red Ribbon Lives and not Red Ribbon Week.
Yes.
I would like to get to a point where we're really doing a lot of intervention in the schools, a lot of after-school intervention and a lot of before-school intervention. I want to see a recreation program developed in the city of Espanola that it really engages our kids and challenges our kids, not just basketball. I want to go beyond that. I think that we've only thought basketball for a long time, and I want you all to know that basketballs are running in my bloodstream. Basketball is a game that saved my life. But I also believe that there's other things. There's volleyball, there's soccer, there's other things that our children can be engaged in that will help them to become what they need to be and not be involved in the drug problem in our community. So I'm very interested in that. Councilor Benavides and the mayor did attend a meeting with the Attorney General today talking about the opiate settlement and how that money has to get spent. And that's one of the initiatives that I talked to her about, how important it is to develop these programs and to have a separate entity only for that initiative, tutoring programs, after school, before school, drop-off programs, even possibly daycare for workers in our community, so that we can get people that are in the community that want to work for the city of Espanola, but probably can't afford to come to work because they need a babysitter. Now, with the way the state has they've set up an opportunity for free daycare for workers, and I feel like that's a really good opportunity for the city of Espanola to implement the daycare within the city, so that any employees that are within our community, young mothers, single mothers that want to go to work, but they can't because they have a little one, that would be an excellent opportunity to bring somebody like that into the community. So these are all initiatives that Councilor Denise and I have talked about. I really believe that these are very important. I've been on the council for a long time, and I've never felt like we've ever had an opportunity to explore this beyond us just talking about it. This is the first time that I can honestly say that with this opiate settlement, it's a real possibility that we could really do some things for the youth here in the community. So I'm really excited about that.
I am excited to hear that because one thing that I'm very passionate about is our youth and then going into the school and just seeing these kids, and
They need us so badly,
it's
man.
it's just heartbreaking. Last week I got home and I felt so good about what I was doing, but at the same time I was just completely distraught with what I saw. I'll tell you guys one story. There was one kid at Fairview Elementary, and we gave out the bike to the group. There was only one bike, and he walked up to me afterwards and told me, "Judge, you don't have another bike by any chance?" And I told him, I said, "I'm sorry, I don't have one right now with me, but what's going on? Talk to me." And he's like, "Well, a robber broke into our house and he flapped the tire and bent the whole thing, and it's not good anymore. My dad had to throw it away and my parents can't afford another one." And that kid went home with me, and the next morning I just so happened to voice it to my staff, "Hey, this little kid," and
Everybody got together, bought him a bike.
no, we actually had an extra one left over. So we showed up to the school, and I couldn't remember his name. I remembered his face. I found him, and he was he was only in second grade, but just the maturity of how much he appreciated it, and just the appreciation for that little thing.
Those are life-changing things. I want you to know that. I believe that kids have 10 moments, and I believe moments like that are what make kids realize what this world is about. And I think that we can be positive moments, or we can be negative moments.
I agree.
And I really feel like as leaders of this community, we have a responsibility to be that positive mentorship, that positive moment for any student. Right now I'm working on an initiative with a union out of Los Alamos. The security guard union has contacted me with an ability to be a Santa Claus here in our community. So we want to find the most needy in our elementaries. So I'm going to utilize 19 from Espinal Elementary, because they have 19 classrooms, 6 from Los Niños, and then the rest of them will go to Fairview Elementary. And what I want to do is go to each teacher and find out who is the most financially challenged student in that class, and find out what the needs are and what they would like for Christmas. And then that union will sponsor that, and then we get to hand it out. It's a really fun thing to do. I've been involved in it for a number of years, and I would like you to be involved in it also. I think it's
awesome.
important. And then the other thing is the pledge cards for the students. I've been working on getting those to all the elementaries. I haven't finished what I need to do, but I have some even for Poaka. If you tell me how many students are there,
I'll get you
we
that.
can go ahead and prepare those for you so that you can pass out those pledge cards.
One thing that we did a little bit different this year is we didn't utilize the pledge cards, and what we did is we made it a little bit more serious, and I got up there with my robe, I put it on in front of them, I asked them questions if they knew what I did, what I stand for, and a lot of them knew, a lot of them didn't. One individual was like, "You're a priest." But I explain what I do, and then I say that one other aspect is I do swearing in and oath of office, and I ask if they know. Some of them do, some of them don't. And then I say, "Well, today you're making a promise." I explain the whole swearing in, and then everybody stands up, all the kids, teachers. I make everybody in the gym, whether you're fire department, everybody raises their hand, and we all take an oath that we're going to live life to the fullest, or we're going to be drug-free, which actually really... The kids, I've had a couple kids walk up to me afterwards like, "Hey, that's the judge, that's this. Hey, I swear to God, I haven't bullied anybody. I've been really good."
That's the purpose of
Really
the
good.
card, to be a visual reminder of that pledge that they took. So we're excited about what you're doing, Judge. I want to commend you on continuing those initiatives that Judge Salazar had brought. We need to recognize him for his leadership and what he brought to your office. And I commend you for sticking to the things that you believed were important enough to stick to, and I commend you for that. So thank you so much.
I also, not to interrupt, I'm a big believer on give credit where credit is due, and I have to thank the Espinal Police Department, the Espinal Fire Department, the Rio Grande County, Delilah with the fire marshals who showed up when when I couldn't have a fire department, the New Mexico State Police, the JROTC from the high school, my teen court coordinator, my graffiti officer, and my community outreach coordinator, because it was a group effort that really made, and all the donors that donated bikes to the community outreach for this event.
And I, like I said, I really appreciate what you're doing, and I look forward to the next community cleanup. We're gonna have one at the end of the year, correct?
Yes.
So I look forward to the next community cleanup, and I also look forward to working with you in the future, especially with initiatives for recreation and opportunities for students in our community.
Yes, I can't wait. Anything that I can help with. What was that?
When are you going?
November 10th.
Can you get me a number, head count, please?
Yes, I know we're doing a one session at 9 a.m. for the 4th and 5th, one at 10:30 for Kinder through 3rd.
Okay. All right.
So-
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. I'll plan on attending that also.
You're very welcome, and I hope you guys have a blessed night.
Likewise. We'll go ahead and move on to Chief Johnny Martinez and DC Wickersham. Sorry, you guys, for such a long meeting, man. I'm so sorry, Councilor Valdez. I'm so sorry, Councilor Dennis Tim. Both of you can catch Denise in the hall and pound on her for inviting all those people.
Have them at the senior center, but no.
No, I think it's better to do it. Go
No,
ahead,
that's
Chief.
good that she invited them.
Yeah, we agree. We agree. Go ahead, Chief.
Madam Pro Tem, governing body, so I'm gonna try to make this quick. You do have a copy of our run reports. This, for October, we had 198 calls. It'll probably go up when we finish running the report, because we ran it like 3-4 days before, so we could turn it.
Fires after that or one?
Huh?
We had one fire after that or two?
We had one, right? One structure fire.
We didn't have the chimney fire and that one? The door fire and that one?
Yeah, I don't know when this report was ran, but yeah,
These are in October, yeah. So, and the other things that we have to report is, like I say, we've had a busy month. We had fire safety. It was fire safety month. I did a presentation for two groups at the Espanola JHR. We also helped the judge, with Red Ribbon Week. We went to Sombrio. We went to James Rodriguez. And then we were also involved in the Fall Festival at McCurdy, where the mayor, the city manager, and ourselves and the fire department were judges of the costume party, the costume, and we were also passing out candies. And the biggest thing that I wanted to, present is to let you know that that I want to thank John Wickersham, and I also want to thank a good friend of mine, Carla Martinez, who assisted me with writing a grant for the state fire marshal. We were awarded $118,000 for PPE so we could buy bunker gear for our department. So,
Yay.
so that was a good thing, because my friend Carla helped me a lot. We got together and I was busy with her. We were 2 weeks in doing it, and while we were there writing this grant, we was doing all the regular stuff, taking care of the department. So, like I say, I can't do it without each other, and I thank Wickersham, because he's a big part of my department.
How much does that purchase? 118,000. How much of bunker gear does that purchase?
So I just got a quote just tonight, so I think we're gonna do 20 sets of bunker gear, and that includes your pants, jacket, boots, helmet, flashlight, gloves, hood sock,
boots.
It's 20 sets, so that'll cover us, the fire department, chief, emergency management. We're gonna get them a set, and then we also have a little bit of money left over, so we're gonna purchase some extrication. So it's like an extrication outfit that has a jacket and pants. And
What is it?
it's a little bit lighter, but yeah, it's resistance for tears and stuff like that. So when they're using their jaws of life and stuff, and then extrication gloves, and then what else did we ask? Bunker bags, so we can put the bunker gear in the bag when we're done or when they're off shift. So that we're gonna be able to purchase that with the 118.
So all of it will be covered into this.
Yeah, he said it went a little bit over, so we're gonna have to see. But yeah, but that's.
Whatever the costs are over, the city has not an enormous amount of funding, but I'm sure that we could help with that.
Yeah, he just sent me the quote. tried looking it up on the phone, but it's it wouldn't open up. So once I get back in the office tomorrow, I'll see exactly the number that quote came back with.
Sit with CM and make sure that you discuss like what it is you're purchasing and what state fire funds are gonna do. Make sure he understands the grant, and if you fall short, let him know and see what he can do. I'm sure he'll.
I don't think it's much more.
Yeah.
We tried to fit it all in 118.
And then we also have now in November 15th, right? Is when Pablo, my other left hand, will be back.
He graduates from the police academy at 10 o'clock.
10 o'clock.
When is that? Friday?
It's a Tuesday, I believe. The 15th
November.
of November. Yep. So not this week, but the next week.
Can you send us information so that somebody from the governing body can be there, please?
Yeah, I think I have. He sent out an invitation. I can send you.
And like I say, we're going to also be working along with Chief Garcia, so, that where we can utilize it, because half the time, we have to pull a cop to clear scenes and stuff. So we're going to be using it for that, and he'll be helping also the police department a couple of days or a day or so and stuff, and be able to work with him. So we also want to try to, either promote, make him a fire marshal / possibly a battalion chief, to.
One of the things that I've seen in our community, unfortunately, is there's a lot of people that are parking in handicap parking that
That is the
do
one
not
thing.
have a handicap sticker.
Okay, so yeah, so that's one of the things that we sent to you, that we have to get one of those things squared away with the.
We brought to you the that ordinance for the burning we had a permit for the city that you could get signed or fined. I did ask the city manager about that a couple weeks ago. He's still looking into it, but I went ahead and ordered those books.
Yeah.
So we should have ticket books here pretty soon, so we can start citing. And that's one of the things that's on that ticket book is handicap parking and fire
You
lane.
might have to be sworn in by the sheriff.
We
or
have-
the
No, we can do it as a
You guys
fire
can do
department.
And we're sworn in by the judge
Okay.
as
As peace officers?
yes.
Okay, good. I'm happy to hear that. Any concerns from you guys as far as any needs that are not being met for your department or anything else?
One of the things that I wanted to bring up was the food and the coffee. Right now, we don't really have a budget for that or money that's allocated for that. So if we could, I don't know, work with the city manager to try to come up with a line item that would.
Do we have a vehicle that we could have storage, like a van or something that we could sort of make a pantry for you guys? And
The emergency
send it to
manager
the command
was
center?
working on that. Victoria actually found one for us, and I think they're getting it fixed right now.
They're getting that one fixed because they got the catalytic converter stolen off that one, and we're gonna try to
Outfit
that with a generator there to have like a coffee pot and get some stuff on them. But that's in the works going.
One of the things that we could do too is we could probably have a dinner in support of the fire department just for that purpose, so that we don't even utilize city budget. We could probably come up with something like some kind of something that would be fun for you guys to like engage the public with the fire department and support. So we can look at that also. Anything else from you guys?
And like I say, I'm still waiting for my medals to come in, and that's something that I wanna, wants to be brought up and recognize some of my things. And one of the biggest things that I told, Workersham have been working, is that we did make like $18,000 off the movies. And
About 25, I believe.
Well, we have
But-
to still pay the guys and
the
stuff,
guys.
but with that money that I have, that I say it's gonna be, I'm still trying to work with finance where we could, that money can just be used for whatever we need to use, and one is like, I wanna put on a dinner for my.
Exactly. We need to work with the CM. Right now, we don't have a finance director, so they keep telling me we don't have a finance director, so we can't figure that out. They said that the money's there, but So if maybe with
My
you, we could
recommendation
do
to you
a
is
little
go
push.
ahead and start figuring out what you want in that pantry. I'm sure like energy bars, Gatorades, those kind of things. Get a cost for what it would cost to load that thing up the way that you need it. Other things that you might need, like masks, PPE, hand wipes, anything that has to go in something that will benefit your staff while they're at a scene. So let's do that. Let me yield the floor to Councilor Dennis or Councilor Didi if you have anything for the fire department.
Madam Chair, if I may, I just think that there's some pretty good news that was given by our department management. So thank you, gentlemen, for all your hard work, for your leadership, and of course, being the leaders for our up and coming leaders of the fire department as well. So you guys just keep working hard, being that great example. Appreciate you guys. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Councilor Didi Valdez.
I'm sorry, I couldn't get my to unmute.
I hate it when that happens.
I hate when that happens. Yeah, thanks. You guys are doing a great job. You're really busy, and whatever you need for that snack box or snack trailer. I don't know if we could donate stuff to, like the counselors can donate, or I don't know, just whatever I can do, just let me know.
Thank you so much, Councilor Valdez. We appreciate you, and we appreciate your time, and especially being online. Sometimes it's difficult with the way things are working here with IP. We had some glitches with the microphones today, but we get through it no matter what. There are just bumps in the road. But I appreciate you and Councilor Dennis Tim, and I appreciate Councilor Benavides. I appreciate Councilor Manny Martinez, and I appreciate the mayor also for attending. It's not normal that more than 4 people attend a committee meeting, but in this situation, with the way that we were getting inundated with the concerns from Santa Fe County, Espanola, City of Espanola residents, I feel like, you know, it's difficult for us to sit here this long. It's difficult to go home after a long day and still have 4 hours of this. But I believe that it's important, if we don't hear what is happening in the community and we don't have the pressure on us to make adjustments to do our job better, then we just don't. So I think it's important that we sat through this, and I appreciate each and every one of you for your commitment, for not being in a rush, for sticking to it to the end. It says a lot about your commitment. Even you guys, I mean, I know that we had you here for a long, long time, and you already had a full day, and you're tired from Sunday night at 4 in the morning, so I get it, and I just totally, totally appreciate you guys. I want to tell you that as I sat on this council, I can't say that any certificate that I've gotten while I've been on here means more to me than this one. I'm serious. Like I just love being affiliated with the fire department. You guys are one of the departments within the city of Espanola that is just, you're just amazing, and I so much appreciate everything you guys are doing to keep us safe. Thank you.
I'd like to reiterate on that too. It's like I tell you, is we have a heck of a department.
You do?
All the guys know what they need to do and everything. And like I say, it makes my job a lot more easier. And like I say, everybody, I can tell you what everybody in this department can do and what they can't do and stuff like that. And like I say, I know I went through my bumps in the road here and stuff to try to get where I'm at. And like I say to myself, but I do appreciate all my guys and that back me up, and I appreciate John Wickersham.
I do too.
He's a heck of a guy. And I'm not going to ever speak bad about this guy, but like I say, he is my right hand, and I give him authority and what he needs to get done, and he does it.
You guys are an amazing team.
And I thank you for backing us up for anything and stuff that, and you open your door, for us to come and talk to you when we have help. The mayor too, and the council, and I thank you guys.
And I do believe what you're saying about the council and the mayor. We are committed. I can't say that there's one person on this council that is not about public safety and not about improving things. And we'll do whatever we can. Whatever you guys need. You've talked about a training center here in Espanola. That's a vision that we definitely want to see mature. I'm not sure where, when, or how, but definitely it's something.
So I can brief you on that real quick. So today we met with a contractor for La Jolla, brand new contractor. The old one, we finally got the plans from him. Took an arm and a leg to get them from him. We finally got those yesterday. We gave them to this contractor. He's gonna have a contract for us by this week. The city manager's on board with him. We had met with the city manager, and the city manager wants to run with it. So we should have, he told us to be out of La Jolla within the next week or two. And so we will start demolition on La Jolla, and a contract to go with that to rebuild La Jolla. And then we do have plans for the armory, talking with the CM as well. And the state fire marshals, they're on board with the training facility here in the north as well, and they want to really push that this year at the legislature to get us some funding for that as well.
And that's something that we can probably utilize some of the funding that we talked about today. Yep, the opioid funding.
Well, that would be awesome, because a training facility, all these firefighters are amazing that come and help us, but none of them are truly IFSAC certified. So if we had a training facility here on board with the state fire marshals, which they want to do, I met with them a couple weeks ago with the state fire marshal and his assistant, and they want a training facility here in the north. So if we teamed up with them, we could have trainings on the weekend to get them IFSAC certified. So we do have certified firefighters across the board. So that would, and it would benefit. It would be people coming here from Las Cruces, or not Las Vegas, from Farmington, that don't have training facilities to come here to utilize us. So it would be revenue for the city with restaurants and for hotels. So it would be a revenue for funds to come into the city.
How many people do you feel that training facility would train in a month or in a year?
We could host probably a couple a year. Firefighter 1 and 2, I know they have like 3 or 4 a year down in Socorro, so we could probably have 1 or 2 a year, Firefighter 1s. But that's just one class.
Some space available in that building?
Yep.
You do?
So we have a training facility already, training room. We just need the burn tower. And then we need a substation as well, so we can, because right now we have a housing crisis too, because we don't have anywhere to store these vehicles. So that was another issue that we wanted to talk to you about too, but that'll be offline. Because right now we're gonna have to move out of La Jolla, so where we're gonna put those 3 apparatus, So I have been talking to OK Wingate. They're gonna let us store 2 of the trucks there, and hopefully we can talk to you about them purchasing one as well, but that's later on down
That's
the line.
something that we need to think about also. There's so much going on, you
Yeah,
guys.
there is. There's a lot.
I juggle this hat and that hat and every other hat that comes to me, but you know what? Like I said, you guys are solid. You're doing an immense job for this community. I feel safe as far as fire goes, like extremely safe. I know that if you guys get called out, you will be there and you will respond and you will shut the fire down. And I know that your whole staff is committed to that. So I appreciate each and every one of them. And like I said before, that young crew that you guys have, they're amazing, man. They're just can do, will do animals, and I love that. So, please further our thank you to all of them, and thank you guys both, like I said, and Pablo when he gets back. Hopefully the mayor or myself or councilor can attend his graduation and just show the appreciation of what he's doing. I want you guys to provide your staff with every available tool as far as training goes. Every single thing that comes up, let's get these guys up to par on everything, please.
We are.
Okay, good.
And let's just be in contact, because one of the things that AG mentioned today was that he wants us, the city and Rio Rico County, to be the elite and to be the ones to set the standard of what can be done with this funding that's going to be allocated to us. And one of the things he said is that, the programs that we put together that we need to detail and outline can include additional funding for additional firefighters and additional police officers. It's just in how we structure it, right? So what we have to do as a governing body and with our departments is work together, come up with those ideas, get them put on paper, and then once we do ours, then we get together with Rio Rico County to say, okay, now together, now how can we collaborate and how can we move forward to utilize this funding, right? And so it's a ton of funding, so it's a huge opportunity for us, and I think if we do it right, we can get a lot done.
Because we are short-staffed. I mean, because we have a minimum of 4, so if we lose anybody, right now we have 2 that aren't certified. So it's hard, and these guys are working a ton of overtime because we have a minimum staffing of 4, so we always have 4 on duty. And so we're going through overtime like crazy.
And then we're losing one now in the
Teresa retires on the 18th,
Have
so.
you guys posted her job already? Has that been done or not?
Have we
you
posted it?
her job?
We kind of.
That's another thing we could talk about.
Yeah, we'll talk about that off the
See,
night.
here I go. Okay,
We tried, we
I'm
tried.
gonna go ahead and call this
But
meeting
we're working on
done.
it.
Our next meeting tentatively is December 7th. If anybody cannot make that day, please contact Victoria at the PD or myself and let us know what's going on. Maybe we can rearrange for a different date if necessary.
Bring me cake.
Thank you guys. Yeah, we'll bring you cake. Okay, so we'll do that for sure. Thank you, Councilor Dennis, Tim Salazar. Thank you, Didi Valdez. You guys are awesome. Thank you, Victoria. I can't say enough to thank you. You're incredible.
And thank you, Peggy, thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you all. Good night.
Good night.
Recording stopped.
Bye. Sorry, Samantha, so long.
Oh, yes.
He saw me in traffic.
Oh,
Is that the guy that was
That big guy in the
Oh, man.
I did get that phone call.
He said he talked, because I